Why have we not been able to get together as a nation?
A party ready to build a new consensus with all those across the land who share a community of values embodied in these words: family, work, neighborhood, peace, and freedom.
Poverty, discrimination, and ignorance restrict growth. When you stifle human potential, when you don't invest in new ideas, it doesn't just cut off the people who are affected, it hurts us all.
And there you go. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to a night at the round table and here on GHTR, the nation's podcast radio. I'm Robert Winnicott, and we got Chris Allen here with us.
Howdy.
How you doing?
How you doing tonight?
I'm really excited, and we haven't done this in a while. And
we haven't. This is like a Christmas show for us.
This is like, wow. I mean, there's a lot of people listening too, man. You see it on my end. It's like a bunch of little pingies going all over the place, and I'm like, wow, okay.
Well, this is the side that people get to see the serious side of us, actually.
Yeah.
On some of our other shows, we do a lot of goofy things and whatever. This is some serious topics that we'll have on the show tonight.
Yeah, I'm almost positive. I mean, just being here, firing this up a night at the round table. Boy, it's like we told them right off to you. We don't know when we're gonna have the next show. It takes a lot to put a show together like this, and I'm actually looking kind of forward to it because there's a lot on the table tonight.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
But we've got some of the topics that we'll be bringing up here momentarily. It's got me actually scared. The more research I did for this show, the more awareness that was brought to my attention that, wow, what have we become?
It is scary, isn't it?
It is.
If you put our last show when we were talking about the oil, we don't have any oil. A lot of people, I got a lot of mixed reviews on that. A lot. I was surprised that show had so many reviews.
Yeah,
they're talking.
For those listening that don't know what we're talking about, that may have missed that show, it takes about 5 gallons of oil to make a tire on a car.
Seven gallons.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're talking about small car tires for some of the up to 5 to 7 or more gallons to make per tire, and about 50 gallons, wasn't it, to make a whole car?
Right. That's
the vinyls, the plastics, all the stuff that's the rubber.
And when the oil runs out, what's going to happen? And and I couldn't believe people. I had emails where people were saying, you guys are nuts. There's no way we got so much oil it'll last for hundreds and hundreds of years. And it's like,
wow,
boy, are you delusional?
I have to say this. For a while I had a job driving a semi. I was spending $2,500 to $3,500 a week in fuel. The operation it takes just for a truck to go across a small 46 states in the USA.
Right.
It doesn't take but 2 days to cross the United States.
Uh-huh.
How big do you think the world really is to have all this oil under the, there's not that much land to get all the oil that's lasted all the time it's lasted. People may think that oil only operates cars. My God, that's the small thing of the process.
Uh-huh.
How many factories entirely run off oil?
Well, that's true. And that's why there was that big scare. It's like, well, and we're sitting here on the show and we're saying, look, we're not trying to scare everybody, but look at the facts. Look and use logic. I mean, it's logical. We don't have much oil left, and I believe that there's an agenda, if you do say, because there's a lot that's happened in the last 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm curious to see what's really happening behind the scenes. What do we really know? And there's, you know what I'm saying?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, what is it that we know? We don't know nothing.
Let's look at it like this. If you and I were two different entities, if I were, say, eccentrically rich and you were not.
Okay.
I would gather information from my sources that I'm sure that would be more difficult for you to gather, simply because I have money. I have a lot of people that would work, my attorneys, different people that would work with me. Do you not think if I had all this information that we really are running out of a stock that I've invested in,
right,
that I wouldn't try to hoard up on it?
Gotta make sense, right?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, if we really are at this shortage, how fast of a shortage is going to take place? And for what the annex say, it could be quite rapidly within the next matter of years.
Yeah, that's the scary part. And then everything else that we're talking about, like we're going to talk tonight. We're going to talk about this later on in the show. It's like, where is it? You know, where is it, this whole thing? Where this whole freaking thing that's going on right now in front of our eyes, and we're all sitting here, and I'm not a person, I'm telling you, I am not a person to like to talk about politics and all this other stuff, but there's a lot going on, and it's just like you were talking not long ago. We were sitting there on the phone, and you were saying to me, you go, God, you know, look at our country right now. Look at where we're at. It's not about anymore. It's not about if you're guilty or not guilty. It's how much money you have.
Oh yeah,
depends on what the outcome is. And we learned that. And there will be people that will say, no, that's not true. And I got news for you. It is true. And it does, you know. If you're going to go kill somebody, I guess, look at it this way. Better have a whole lot of money backing you up, because you can get away with it if you have a lot of money.
Proof of that's watching that white Bronco going down the highway with a man in that white Bronco that went somewheres to say goodbye to his mama.
That's right. That's right.
Remember OJ, when he tried to put that glove on, he had his fingers spread wide apart. Tried to put a hand on with his fingers spread. Man was fighting for his life, let me tell you. Superior won. OJ won.
Yeah.
The first round.
It was a little bit of intelligence maybe there. I don't know. It's just like, look at. Like, you can get in so much trouble these days. It's like, you don't want to do nothing. You don't want to say nothing. You don't even want to approach anybody with anything. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, here's what happens. You know, you get accused of doing something you didn't even do, and you don't even get a chance to defend yourself. I would have went to jury trial. I would have went the whole frickin' 9 yards and told your whole story. You know, and that's the route I would have took.
Well, you know, the jails, and speaking of the subject of that, are overfilled right now. And they're not all about certain things. For example, they're full of mainly drug dealers. People pushing, selling, doing whatever, and they get caught and they get put in jail. They get out and they do the same cycle again. Wow. If you look at the ones that actually needed to be in jail, the ones that had the horrific crimes or whatever, there's probably just a handful here and there in each pod area.
Right.
People are getting arrested for crazy things. Let's say you get laid off. You can't pay your child support. You're trying to find a job. And I'm not talking about a deadbeat dad. I'm talking about somebody trying to find a job but just not having any luck.
Right.
You get 90 days behind. Guess where you're going to be looking for a job at? Yeah. And they're going to pay you cents a day. And you still have to pay.
Wow.
You there?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just listening to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's just so many things that just, I don't know. Domestic assault, for example. If the cops are called on a scene, a woman standing there with a black eye, the guy has, messed up knuckles, put his ass away. But if somebody wanted to call just to have a weekend at Bernie's or whatever, make up some kind of fictitious story, the cop gets in, there's nothing wrong with her and there's nothing wrong with him.
Mm-hmm.
Give them an option, put them both away.
There you go.
Or drop it. The reason I said that, because there are so many people that I had met that were put in there for crazy things.
Yeah.
One man met a woman who put him in there, and I was asking somebody about that guy. He's like, that's the fifth guy that got put in jail from the same woman. She'll meet a guy at a bar, he'll buy her all kinds of furniture and things, and she'll lock him up.
Right.
Next guy comes along.
And we let that stuff happen.
We do. kind of feel hopeless or whatever. But when you look at the percentage of voters out there, it's only 14% on the average. People are capable of voting. What do you expect?
And that's valid. That's really valid because I look at it this way. We got a lot of people out there who are hurting right now, and with this, what's something that I'm not going to mention, but it hasn't even started yet, Chris. I mean, do you think we're in a bad way right now?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get a whole lot. It's going to get a lot worse.
Yeah.
And it's, in my opinion, we talked the last time about the shortage, and we talked about all this other stuff, and now we're talking about how the court systems, I mean, for crying out loud, I mean, it's not even going to court anymore. It's like, why try?
Yeah,
I would
just make it simple. Walk in, it's like, all right, who has the most money? I do. All right.
Yeah,
this is how much it's going to cost, and this is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Just cut the red carpet walk here and do it. That's what it seems like.
Well, one way or the other. Here it is. I feel, no matter how we look at it, it's just like what happened to you this summer is something that I've really been following really closely because there was nothing that you did to deserve what you got, and yet you ended up being charged with something you didn't do.
Yeah, not to mention the thousands of dollars I've already spent.
Right.
On this.
Right. I mean, if you think about it, that's how it actually works out. It works out that way no matter if you are in or if you're out. But the thing about it is you had... Oh, here. Hey. She's got to clean that up. God dang woman.
Did you hear a UFO just came in or something?
Yeah, I guess. Something just landed and hit the ground. But no,
what was that?
Who knows? Her. So.
Her? What, we have an abductee out there?
Yeah, it's Darian.
Is that Darian?
Wait. Yeah, I don't know what she's doing. I think she's lost.
I keep hearing a voice, somebody laughing or something.
Well, it's probably because she doesn't know what she's doing.
Oh, okay.
That could be it. She's supposed to be on the show, and she's a little fashionably late. Oh, yeah, I've been just listening. Yeah, okay, right. She forgot about it. Oh, shit.
Well, she told me she had to take some boxes and stack them up so she could stand up to get to the computer shelf where she's working at.
That could be it. That could be it.
She couldn't reach the buttons on the keyboard or something.
All right.
It's kind of convenient when she's at the studio in Huntington because I don't hear that smacking sound where I'm getting whipped about right now.
Yeah, I know. Thank God, right?
Yeah. Where's she at? What's she doing? She muted out?
Making a list.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, there's that voice. Nails on a blackboard.
Well, she was listening?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Darian.
Uh-huh. Yeah, just wait. I will come back.
Oh, that's what scares me.
Well, if we do run out of oil, I guess she's going to have to come up here and smack me by horseback.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't think we'll be doing much of anything then. That oil runs out, we're all screwed. The Walking Dead?
Yes, I do.
Okay, now you're starting to watch it. Now, apply that to our oil drying up and stuff.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, you combine that with, let's say the industry completely closes out, you're still going to have people addicted to things. And it doesn't just mean drugs or alcohol or cigarettes.
They'll be the ones that'll die out the first. Seriously,
think of the bargaining price. What does a carton of cigarettes cost today? You better think what it's going to cost then.
Money.
And just think you're not going to have an internet provider. So if you don't have an internet or a cell phone or a home phone,
Chris,
yeah,
money's not going to mean shit.
It isn't.
It's not their money will not mean crap when this all falls apart, because we're all going to be standing there and we're going to be open to the rest of the world coming here and do whatever they want with us. You know, and
we'll have to do our radio show live from the cheese line.
Hey, Chris.
People holding cans up to their ear listening.
So, any opinions?
Yeah, I mean...
Well, come on, well...
What, I'm the only one with an opinion, really?
Well...
Giving you a chance to breathe.
You heard my
You said you've been listening into the show when you weren't online with us?
Yes.
Okay, well, then you've heard everything we've said.
Well, I can tell you one thing that I noticed. Do you know you guys were in the middle of a conversation when you started the show? What about before that? You guys came in on the middle of your conversation.
No.
Yes.
No.
What was it?
About the Obamacare stuff.
Oh, we're okay. We're okay with that. Yeah, I mean, we don't care. We didn't even talk about that.
We didn't get to that part.
See,
See, okay.
You fell off your rocker on that one. See, you tried.
Yes.
Well,
You were in the middle of a conversation, so no one knows what you were talking about. Not just me.
No, we were talking about something.
Is she talking to us on Skype, or she got one of those Obama phones?
I think she got an Obama phone.
That hurts coming from you, Mr. Stupid Phone.
I have the Amish version. I don't.
Can you
I don't
imagine
need all
though?
that.
Can you imagine Chris being on like a phone? What I have,
No.
you would never get him off it.
I can imagine if Chris gets a phone like you have, you and I never not getting Chris off the phone for how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you do this?
Well, who does that sound like?
Can you
Remember-
imagine the app that sticks its hand out to rub his ear?
Darren was up here when what was that happened? No, that was on the way back from the dropping the kids off when that finger came through the phone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't want a phone that smart.
Oh my God! This phone here, even an iPhone or this phone here, you would.
Don't tell me it can reach out and hold the steering wheel while you're driving.
No, but it can change the channels on your TV. It can be used as a soundboard for your sound equipment and stuff like that. And your phone can do a lot.
Wow.
Well,
Here,
your
try to
phone
imagine programming your phone to control the car while you're driving so you get text.
Right. There you go. That would work. But no, I mean, you know, what I was asking about for opinion-wise is I was actually asking, you know, what your guys' opinion was with, you know, the way the economy is right now, and the fact that, you know, people are not really understanding that there is a crisis, an oil crisis, and, you know, why, the question is why do you think the government wouldn't want us to know about what's going on?
Because once again, they're planning something.
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't tell people what cards you have in your card game.
Right. But, I mean, you can kind of speculate. You can kind of say, hey, you know, I think this is what they're doing, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what would be that you figure there's something going on, Chris? You've been hold on, I'm bringing in somebody else here.
Well, you know, it's like the flu shot, the chemicals that are in the flu shot.
Yeah.
You know, you got a lot of people that are pro, a lot of people are kind of against the idea of it. That that's not possible. They don't put mercury in the flu shot and this and that, and
right.
You know. So where do you get your resources at? It surely isn't Wikipedia.
Well, I mean, actually, we got another guest with us. This is Dave Michaels. And,
Hi, Dave.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. How are you doing, buddy?
Good. Everybody hear me okay?
Oh, yeah, you're coming in loud and clear.
Yep.
Good deal.
Good deal. You sound like a real DJ.
Wait, what's that?
I said you sound like a real DJ.
Yeah.
He's got that.
I used to play one on the radio only, but
Yeah, you should hear his radio voice, Chris. It's pretty cool.
So, have you heard our show? What we're talking about so far? About Dave? Have you listened to the what we're speaking on, the crisis and different things happening in our government?
I have not been able to hear any of the show thus far, but you guys just started it, right? So what did I miss?
Right now, we're talking about Obama with his wife. She's pregnant with the 6th kid. No, I'm just kidding.
Throw him for a loop on that one. No, we're actually now on our last show. You were on our last show when we were talking about the oil shortages and stuff like that. And we were, and I was kind of comparing. I was actually kind of comparing with Chris. You know, Chris just actually started watching The Walking Dead, and
really?
Yeah, and you and I have had a lot of conversation on it because I'm new to it too, but I'm all caught up to current season and everything. But I had talked to you. I said, you know, I look at The Walking Dead as exactly like us losing our oil and stuff like that because there's not going to be no more anything to make drugs. There's going to be scarce. There's going to be disease. There's going to be famine. There's going to be everything. And that's how I kind of looked at the zombies. Of course, that's my opinion. But what we were talking about is that would be an apocalypse if we ran out of oil. And that's where you kind of came into it. And then we were asking Darian what her thoughts were about it, and she didn't have any really. So.
Well, I mean, I think, Robert, you know a lot of my thoughts on the situation. I will do my best not to get on the soapbox, only because if I start complaining about different things, you'll probably have a whole bunch of people signing off or sending in hate mail.
Oh no, that's what we want. That's what we want. We want people. we want people.
Our own personal hate mail this show.
Yeah, we want people to hate you, Dave. Yeah, I mean, you know,
that gets it off of you, right? So make all the listeners hate me, and not you guys. Okay.
Yeah.
They do the same thing to me, Dave.
That's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Make us look like the bad guys.
Yes.
Wow.
It just works better that way. It works better that way. In my opinion, it works better that way.
You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for having us on the show.
Yeah.
It's just so fantastic that you guys I like how you just shove us right in the middle of traffic so we get hit by the bus. It's just fantastic.
Yes, that was strategically planned like that.
Yes.
Robert does that when he's renting his Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go again.
Just remember, if I send you a package for Christmas and it's ticking, I avoid not opening it.
Really?
Wow.
Chris, I'm opening your mails more.
So just careful,
well,
Robert.
Opening. It's like, oh, this got a reminder when to send it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to fall off either, do you? Nope.
You know one thing I've been hearing a lot on the internet, and everywhere you look, everyone's talking about that comet coming towards the Earth.
Yeah.
What's your opinion about that? I mean, if that were to take place about now, you're talking about the apocalypse from the zombies. Well, let me just give you a little reminder. When a comet comes close to a planet, it doesn't have to touch the planet. It leaves a vapor trail. Vapor is a moist trail of chemicals, not chemicals, bacterias, funguses possibly, that are living in sub-zero temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
They come back to life, or they're already still alive. I mean, that's where you had a lot of the plagues and things that happened. Was when comet trails came close to the Earth.
That's right.
Yeah, don't you remember the Night of the Comet movie?
No, I don't.
I think
Remind
it was
me.
called Night of the Comet. I think that's what it was called.
Was it a guy that had armor that liked to clean with Comet Cleanser? What was it about?
I have no idea. It was like some comet got close to the planet, and all of a sudden people just went psychotic or something. It was, I don't remember. I saw about, 20 minutes of it and couldn't watch anymore, so I tuned out.
So do you think, well, if you thought that a comet was going to hit the Earth, this is I mean, do you honestly believe that people are just going to sit here and just wait for it to hit, or do you think there's going to be panic when they really get the word said?
Rob, I actually have a kit.
My question would be, where the hell are you going to go?
Yeah, exactly. I have a kit that it's a preventative kit. that I actually invented. I thought about selling these kits on the internet. It's Fit the Tequila.
Yeah.
It's that simple. In a shot glass.
There you go. No, why
Right.
use the shot glass? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at that point you don't even bother with a shot glass.
Yeah, just the bottle.
Drink, directly out of the bottle.
Turn around and say, "Oh, fuck it," you know. Just turn around, just screw it. Yeah.
Well, the deluxe kit contains a few bottles, so.
Right.
That's if you make it past the first, right?
Yeah, well, sunscreen as well. It comes with the extra deluxe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It gets me because I sit here and I watch every day, and recently I became a little bit more concerned when things were starting to fire up about what's going on in our government right now, how people are being treated in our
Traded?
traded in our court
Traded.
system. No, how they're
Now,
being.
people start getting traded, then
Don't you think that is already?
I can't really talk about that today because my own
Inquirer
personal-
minds want to know.
I'm being traded today on NASDAQ, so my price is up. So I don't really want to screw that.
Well, my worth just dropped. Wow.
Plummeted into the ground. Well, thanks, Dave. But no,
with everything that's been said and done, and we know entertainment's going to be the last thing that we have in here, I just hope that the creator of all, which I believe in God and Jesus, that God has a sense of humor and he's put up with me all these years. I mean, I can see it now. The comet comes by, a few seconds later, we're sitting at the pearly gates, and he's going to be shaking his head back and forth. He's like, Chris, I just don't know. You remember that prank that you did on those poor kids at Walmart?
Yeah.
Remember that time you put rubber poop on a woman's oxygen
Oh,
machine?
yeah, I do remember that one. That was so funny. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry.
Yeah, walk into that one. Here we go.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
Yeah.
So, Dave, I need your opinion.
Yes.
I need your opinion. In your
About
opinion,
what?
in your opinion,
You need my opinion all the time.
yeah.
How is this any different?
Okay, yeah. I do. I'm actually gonna talk about you and your company here in just a few minutes because
Okay.
because you are actually the person who actually developed our website, and you and your team, and it's a kick-ass website. And we've been wanting to get you on here to talk to you about it, so this is a good way to get you here. So,
Okay.
you ready for that?
Is that how you trick me into getting into the show? Because we're going to talk about like different stuff, and now
Well,
you want to
we
talk
figured-
Oh, man, that's $5 on you, Rob. You're pretty quick. You told me he was going to say that.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
But the thing about it is no, I think this is I think you need to tell us a little bit about who you are and how your company came together, because if anybody, I figure after you tell us how your company came together, and by the end of it, then we can talk about what's going on in our government and get you all fired up. So, that's a good way of looking at it. Right.
Well, I don't want to bore everyone with specifics.
Go ahead, man. The floor is yours. Oh, wait, here, let me pull up that soapbox. Go ahead. There you go.
I don't need your soapbox. I have my own.
Yeah, you're pretty tall too. What, you're 7'8" or something like that, or?
My God.
He's
No. 6'5".
6'5".
7'8".
Well, that would be 7'8" to Darian.
Shut up.
She has to stand on my couch just to smack me in my head.
That's
Yeah,
I'm Chris.
Yes.
See, short people don't think about things like ceiling fan placements.
They don't.
And-
Fast as hell, I'll tell you what.
They don't think about how low the mirror might be in the bathroom or how short the counters might be. And for some reason or another, especially once somebody is like dating or around someone who is tall, they always seem to put those things that they need often on the highest shelves. And I don't know why that happens. Because they know that there's someone there available to grab it for them. I'm the high shelf guy.
I need it at my house.
She's the keeper of the low shelf.
Gotcha.
I'm not short. I'm fun-sized.
That's right.
Okay.
But
Well, on the bright side, she wouldn't need as much oil as you would need in the future.
Wow. Well,
How do you?
that got thrown out. Chris, you don't need oil, do you? Don't you still have some in your garage?
I probably do.
Because Chris thinks that, like the apps for phones that just, do amazing things, if you buy oil in an oil filter and put it in your garage, then that counts as changing the oil. And that's when engines lock up.
Okay. I did buy the things to do that, but I forgot to put the oil in. And yes, it did lock up. But it wasn't my fault. I'm blonde.
And gray.
Hey.
oh.
Rob, he's not gray, but it's so funny to tell him he is. You should see the man run to the mirror.
Wow.
Well, everyone gets a little gray.
Yeah.
You could start coloring your hair, Chris.
Wow.
You're going to wash that gray right out of your hair.
It matches my shade of red.
You can't beat old age. You can try.
Yeah.
Wow. But,
we go from a crisis to pick on Chris Day.
I know. We're not in a crisis yet. We're not quite there, but I just want to let you guys know that, I've been working with Dave for going on probably almost 2 years, maybe about a year.
Maybe a little more than 2.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And
Well, Rob, what did you mean when you said he was one of your biggest customers?
he's not one of my biggest customers. I'm probably one of
joke.
his.
That was a joke in height.
But the thing about it is I think I met him. He helped me out on a job that I was working on, and him and I, became really good friends. And he owns a company called Stationality, and there is a story behind it because Dave and his team are, in my opinion, they've got a great platform, and I just he's really good at what he does, him and his whole team. And I think for the most part, what I like about him is he never says me, it's always we. And he's always talking about how much he respects his team of people that work with him. So I introduced Mr. Dave Michaels. So Dave, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your company and stuff like that, so we know more about it.
Well, okay. I'll do my best to explain it and not bore everyone, but I worked in radio for about 15 years, and actually radio and TV. But then I just got to the point to where I just really wanted to start my own thing. That's right at the very beginning of starting the company. I was originally doing some voice work for agencies, things of that nature, and doing some audio production for places. And then all of a sudden the first couple of clients came in that wanted some design work, and stepped into that and basically consulted stations as far as what their branding was going to look like, how it was going to be, viewed by the audience, things of that nature. And it just went from one thing to another, and then all of a sudden there was a huge swath of stations. And the term stationality has been used in the broadcast industry for 25 plus years, and it means a station with personality. That's where stationality came from. But in the last 5 years, also being able to extend that out to non-broadcast entities has been fairly good. That's how, Robert and I actually got involved, was dealing with this one client. It's obviously not a station. So, it doesn't, we're not completely stuck in a position to where we can only deal with stations. We can do other things. But the hope is that whatever we're doing actually puts a highlighter on it. It's not so much about the name; it's about what we do. It's about the level of service. It's about the experience that we bring to the table and what we do as far as a company's branding, where they're positioning statements, how they're going to be able to bring in some of that NTR or anything else. That's where we kind of come in and wedge in and help them try to figure out a lot of those little pieces as they go.
All right. Now, when you put this together, you actually have pretty much built a system that is easy to use for any kind of radio station or anything like that. Yeah, anybody can use it. Really, to be honest,
I could use it. Yes.
Yeah. Now, that was like a creation, that over a lot of time of trial and error, putting that system together, right?
Oh, it was suffice it to say, it was a long journey. I had this month actually makes 10 years. So 10 years ago, I had written down on, I'd created like a, Microsoft Word document that was like, 10 pages long about everything that this system needs to be, everything that I wanted it to be able to do, and reasons why it made sense for these things to do, because there was no system out there doing a lot of the things that I thought that these systems needed to do, because it was all about ease of use, functionality, being able to go in, because especially if we're dealing with a station, for instance, you've got a situation where, stations have been firing people, laying people off. There's a lot of really talented radio people that are out there right now with zero jobs, or else they're working in something completely outside of the industry because of the way big corporations have squeezed out the actual humanity of radio. And the problem is you've got somebody like a program director who is basically the manager of this station. That person may also be the program director of 5 other stations in the building. They might also be the promotions person. They're probably doing the music list. They're probably talking to the record labels. They're probably holding down at least a 4 to 6 hour shift on the air on a daily basis. And they're still having to put out all these memos and deal with every single meeting that goes on and talk to the salespeople. So their time is extremely limited. So the point was in trying to build something that would be as stupid, dumb, easy as possible, and to make it as fast for somebody to get in and get out within 5 minutes and do what they needed to do. At least that's the overall hope and goal of it. I mean, obviously we're still building on it, we're still changing it, tweaking it, doing other things, but, even though I wrote all this down 10 years ago, there was no way that I could get it done back then. It was just impossible. There wasn't the right people in the team.
Some people, not mentioning names of radio DJs, but they actually got lost with the easy button. It was so complicated. I mean, not mentioning anyone's name.
Right. Well.
So I thank you for the easiness that you made there. Oh, damn, I gave it away.
Yeah.
No, I mean...
The easy button. Yeah, we've been thinking about actually sticking an easy button in it, but we're not sure anyone would know how to click it, so we kind of avoided it.
Chris would.
I mean, but it's just the idea. I mean, obviously Robert's dealt with the system. He knows about it. We've had a lot of discussions about it.
Oh, yeah.
It still has a long way to go, and I appreciate that you think it's great, and I think it's good. It's a beginning point. It has so much more that needs to go into it, so many other things that need to be done.
Oh, so are you like so you would take suggestions?
Depending on who the suggestion is from, absolutely.
Well, I like
if the person's name is Robert, no, I don't think so. But,
yeah, I know. I hang my head in shame most of the time. I mean, it's just like.
I'm joking with you, Rob.
I mean, what I've noticed is like when I send people something that has to do with GHTR, and I'm on a platform that is like totally freaking bad, And I mean, everything that I want to do, everything that I want my visitors to have when they come to this website, I didn't think this up. Dave and his team thought this up. This is how they do it. They know how it works. And he asked me, he says, if you could have a website, what would you want? And he showed me, and I said, I want one just like that. All right. And it's just like...
Well, some of the stuff he read my mind, he put Galaga on there. Like, wow, no way.
Yeah. But I
love that game.
The more we get out there, the more people come there. They see it. Actually, we're going to start writing news articles and stuff like that, and we're going to start really trying to get some stuff going on. But it does. Let me tell you a little bit about it. It's like in the back end when you go to do it. If I was somebody that didn't have a lot of know-how how to post an article, these guys have made it so easy to be able to go in and just follow the steps. That's how it's so easy. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it. Hit edit and it's done. It's a badass system. And I'm saying, like, if, radio stations out there, it would be so much easier, probably save them tons of money and stuff like that. Not to mention that, not only this system, but other systems. I mean, it's just, these guys are incredible. I mean, Dave's got a lot of good ideas, too, so.
Well, man, at the end of the day, I appreciate you bringing it up and you wanted to talk to it, and I think that's great. It's marketing 101. I get that. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, I don't put that much stock in it all the time because at the end of the day, a website is just a website. It doesn't matter how many bells and whistles it has. It doesn't matter how great and pretty it is. It really doesn't matter if it's 1 page or 20 pages. It really makes no difference. The website's purpose is to just act as a, kind of like what we're talking about, a speaker box or somebody to stand on top of and say something. So obviously the message behind the site, the purpose of that site has to mean something. There has to be some kind of purpose for even having the site. If you're just throwing a website up hoping to make $1 million, it's just not going to happen. You've got to have the idea behind it, and you've got to be able to brand it and understand what that message is going to do long term. You've got to be able to figure out how to be able to avoid taking the left whenever you need to take the right. You've got to learn what all of that means. So just putting together some, fancy website with all of these bells and whistles, it may all be great. It may allow you to do something, but at the end of the day, you can go off and you can buy yourself a 65-inch plasma TV and hang it on your wall, but I guarantee you it's not going to make you any money. Right. It's not going to do anything, but you're going to absolutely love sitting in front of it every day. If that winds up being what the website is for you, then you really have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Because it could actually do something to increase your bottom line. And hopefully that's making sense.
Oh, yeah.
That's the reason why it's like, yes, the website, I think, building something that looks great, that's our goal. And making a system that works, I think that's paramount. But those are just pieces inside of a larger picture. And yes, we can come in and help blend a lot of this together and, brand everything so it all looks good. We don't just do websites. We do logos and TV spots and vehicle wraps and things of that nature, and we can tie everything together. But, again, there has to be a purpose for all of it, at least for the end user, as far as the client themselves, so they understand we can do these things. And like you, Robert, with GHTR, the situation that you've got. You've got a station. You've got different products. You've got different shows and things of that nature. That gives it a purpose. So, just hopefully it helps you going forward.
Oh, it will. Well, it will. See, he's really modest too, guys. So I'll tell you that. I'm looking at it I'm looking at now he cannot deny this, but do you remember what you said, Dave? It's the end user that is more important.
Yes.
Well, I'm the end user, and I think it's kick ass.
I'm sitting here visualizing in a study case where they're trying to find an easy program for some listeners like myself. They have a room set up with 3 boxes and a monkey sitting in front of it, pushing the button of the easiest one. Because every time something comes out new like this, Robert's like, Chris, even you can do this. I'm like, wow, okay. I see a monkey in front of a box.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, it's nice to see that Robert thinks so highly of you.
He does, yes. I mean, I'm college educated, but it doesn't matter. I'm just a goofball.
That's debatable. Anyway. Well, we got another guest with us. We have actually Buster Mathis Jr. with us. How you doing there, Buster?
I am doing wonderful. How are you doing, guys?
Hi, Buster.
Great.
Hey, Buster.
Hey, how you doing?
You might want to pull away from your mouth just a little bit on your mic there because you're coming in very loud and clear.
Okay, you hear me better?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
That's great.
So,
what an honor.
Have you been listening to the show up until now?
Truthfully, no, I just got in. I'm sorry.
Damn it, Dave! You did the same thing.
Uh-huh.
Well, we're not going to catch you up to speed right now because we've been talking about too much, but we just got done talking about Dave Michaels and stationality, how he his system that he has built, and how where he got his grassroots from. And I tell you what, this guy is incredible. You've already met him, so you don't have to meet him anymore. So
okay.
I'm just kidding. You remembered Buster, right, Dave? Of course.
Yeah, I do. Of course I remember Buster Mathis. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you hear about him like what every day? It's like, here we go. So, but no, actually, I'm glad that everybody's here. That means that we can really fire up and go into our next topic. And what I think the biggest thing here is there's a lot of people who have different ideas about what's happening right now with this Obamacare plan. And
oh my God.
Yeah, and this is a serious thing because what's going on is it's almost to me like I'm reading everything and it feels like we just lost the rights in our Constitution. That's what I feel like we just lost. And because it's somewhere in the taxes, it says that, we have to pay taxes, okay? We can't get around it. They say that you don't have to. They say it's volunteer, but if you don't pay your taxes, your life sucks anyway. So here it is. Okay, now we have this Obamacare where they're saying you have to buy it or we'll penalize you. And so if anybody has anything, right now would be the time to speak up because I want to know what you guys feel.
I've spent the better half of the last week on an article that was on CNBC that I happened to make a comment about. And I have spent the better part of a week dealing with just comments to my comments, other comments on the board, just the complete badassery that people seem to have whenever they're talking about this Obamacare situation. I'm full up as far as just BS about this whole thing. It's just with people talking about it, and it amazes me just the level of they don't really understand what's going on.
Right. Now, you got to the end of the year until you signed up, though?
Wait, what's that?
You got until the end of the year, right?
No, you got till March 16th, I think it is.
Well, I don't know. They keep changing the days,
And the problem.
But am I signed up? No. And am I going to sign up? No. I'm not going to do that. Right now, I have no need to, thankfully. But even if I did have need to, the answer would be no. And if they're going to find me, they can certainly do their best to try to get it from me.
Well, so what is your feelings there, Buster?
Well, I agree, and I'm still studying it, and I just gotta wait and see. One thing I totally disagree about it is against the Constitution, because there's some people out there who don't believe in healthcare and the doctor system, so they need to sign up, because there's some type of religion out there that they believe in no American medicine, and they were saying that that is against their Constitution, So I can see that way, but then again, I don't know if I could can we afford it? Can we? Because I went on healthcare.gov, and some of the premiums that I saw was very expensive.
My thought about all of this is everybody's talking about the situation with Obamacare, and I appreciate that everybody is concerned about Obamacare. And I know a lot of people, and I know some people personally that have gotten the cancellation letters and all the rest of that. It all depends on what state you're in. Is the thing that people don't understand. There are states that are not still part of it, or have not bought into this thing. But instead of just focusing on what Obamacare is and means and does and what it's going to be 10 years from now, all of that is irrelevant at the moment. We're talking about a system that they launched a website, and we're talking exactly what we were just talking about, a website. Now, again, it's just a website. It is something that you go to in your browser, and it happens to have pages and information, and hopefully it has legible text. So you've got this thing, and they spent millions of dollars. And now, because of the problem October 1st of people not being able to register, they have now invested billions of dollars in this one system. And I'm talking billions with a B, as far as building this website and everything else. Now, imagine taking that money and actually doing something worthwhile with it. Feeding people that don't have money, taking care of certain situations, making it better for either homeless people or children that are being abused or foster home situations, all the rest of that. That's fine. We've got to take advantage of welfare situations and just keep getting more and more foster kids in their house so they can get some free money. It doesn't really matter whether or not the kids are getting any good education or anything else. It just matters that this person is able to latch into the system and be able to abuse it in a different way. I mean, I have 2 bummed knees. If I wanted to, I could probably go off and get myself a handicap license plate on my car, but I don't do it because I'm 40 years old. I can walk. I can move. I don't need to just go off and get the best parking place at Walmart and prevent someone who actually needs that spot from getting it. But everybody's looking out for themselves, including the federal government. I mean, they're going to sit here and just keep pouring money into stuff. I mean, whenever they go off and they spend $200 million launching a campaign for the United States of Awesome, that to me just screams that something is wrong. So I appreciate that Obamacare is here and it's supposed to solve the situation. I totally get it. But at the same time, I think it would have been a hell of a lot smarter for the government to step up and do something positive and say, look, every single person in the country has or will now have baseline insurance. And I mean baseline insurance. It's not going to pay for diddly squat. It might not even really help you with your prescriptions. But then, from there, if you choose that you want to have better prescription values, or if you choose that, you decide that you do need to go to the doctor more often than most people because of some kind of situation, you can upgrade your account, and at that point, then you start paying. But right now, they've taken this insurance situation, and they've taken people that have decent insurance right now. They've canceled that insurance and now replaced it with insurance with a deductible that is sometimes $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, possibly even $10,000 more than what they were paying previously. And instead of making their insurance better as a whole, they've added in a whole bunch of other things into the insurance that you have to pay, but their actual coverage at the doctor is 60% of what it was before. Those are the things that just are red flags to me. I'm not saying that it's a complete wash, and I'm not saying that Obamacare is horrible. I appreciate the idea. I think it's at least a step in the right direction, but it was shoddily done the way that they put this all together, and it's not making logical sense because it's not baseline fair for every single person in the country. Each state is different. That's where I think the major, major problem is.
So, and Chris, you got anything on that?
No, I was just sitting here trying to paint the vote for Dave signs for presidency. Yeah, keep on talking. I'm painting away. Go ahead.
Buster, what do you think?
Well, no, I totally agree in everything that he said. But one thing I am little worried about with the Obamacare is that it's not going to work. And the reason why it's not going to work because there's many types of illness, and one thing that it does not address, and I work in a mental hospital, is mental illness, and that is a big academic in mental illness, and I feel that that is a subject that really do need addressing, especially in Obamacare. And and I have a relative that got cancer, and her bills is like $200,000. Well, so wow, will Obamacare take care of that? So I'm still debating about Obamacare. I'm not very 100% behind it. But then again, time will tell.
Anybody else?
Well, it's just we're having to put a lot of faith. The entire American population is basically having to put a lot of faith into a system that is not even in control by us. We're basically saying the government is going to have to make a lot of these decisions, and the actual insurance companies are going to have to step up to do certain things. And hopefully this is all going to go by. I was just reading an article yesterday about certain people that had originally filed or tried to file on the Obamacare site that, according to what they think, they're already registered. But the problem is that the system was broken, so they're not actually registered. So really, they're not enrolled in Obamacare, but they think that they're enrolled in Obamacare. Obamacare apparently doesn't have ways to track down every single person like that. So there's still a possibility somebody who is thinking that they're enrolled in Obamacare goes to the doctor January 2nd, and all of a sudden they realize they're not insured at all. The government has went to the insurance companies, and the insurance companies doesn't like this idea at all, but they basically told insurance companies, there's all of these people out here that technically are not enrolled, but they think they are. So they're going to go to the doctor. So whenever they do, you are going to have to pony up from your own pocket to cover these people. But you need to tell us a number of what you think it's going to cost to cover all of these people, and then we, the federal government, will just pay you. So now the federal government is going to be paying these insurance companies direct, just a completely lateral move between the government and the insurance companies because they're trying to play cover your ass.
Robert,
Yeah.
what is the difference between Obamacare and Medicare?
What's the difference? Obamacare. Well, if you're under the poverty level, that's when you go on Medicare.
Okay.
So there's really Obamacare is just a way of getting insurance.
Hey, Buster, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I have been dying to ask you this forever.
Okay.
Back on December the 16th, 1995, when you were in the ring with Mike Tyson,
Okay.
did he ever try to nibble on your ear?
Oh, no. No, you didn't try to nibble my ear.
Are you sure?
some
Because you kind of
expensive
got
insurance you'd have to
got
have.
awfully close to
Oh,
him in that
definitely.
ring.
Definitely. I saw the commercial when Tyson handed Evander Holyfield his ear back. You saw that one?
No, I haven't seen
Yeah,
that.
I saw that commercial.
I thought that was hilarious.
I don't even remember what the commercial was about. I just remember Mike Tyson ringing the doorbell and having the ear in a little box at the door. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh boy.
But that's a good question. But Medicare is just another insurance company, Buster. It doesn't have nothing to do with Obamacare.
So let's say if I sign up with just Medicare, then am I signed up with now Obamacare?
If you already have insurance, then you don't need to sign up for nothing.
Right. That's exactly. But I'm just saying.
Because the thing about it is here's seeing both you guys are pretty much in agreement on everything. Here's the thing that bothers me a lot about it is the fact that I was reading today. What got me was I read, well, okay, you're gonna have people that are not gonna. They're thinking they're gonna take the $90 a month that they're gonna fine you, or whatever, and at the end of the year they take it out of your taxes. So, people say, well, I'll take that way out. And then, of course, you find out, well, okay, for every month that you're late, not getting it, then that payment that is not being paid will also accumulate a penalty fee. And I'm sitting there going, so by the time, you think you're only paying $90s of dollars, what really gets me is that we're being forced to do this. We don't have a choice.
Well, that's what I think the problem is. They have completely removed the option of choice. And for a certain percentage of the country, and I know that there's people out there, there's probably people listening right now who are screaming at the radio, complaining about me and my talking about Obamacare, because there are people who absolutely love Obamacare, and I appreciate that, and I respect that. The problem is that they are getting what they want. They love Obamacare, and it is working great for them. But there is still a whole other portion of the country that are not getting what they want, and more importantly, they are not getting what they need. And it is not in a kind of a position where it's something they can actually afford. So that's where the whole question is affordable health care actually affordable? And that's the problem. Because in a lot of states, it's not affordable.
Well, here's another niche in it too. Did you know, like, if you go in there and you do sign up for it and you put your wages in there, you put how much you're making. Let's just say you're not making crap, you're whatever. You'll get like a little thing that'll say you need to contact your the local family independent agency, and you need to go down there and get on Medicaid. You go down there and file for Medicaid. Medicaid turns you down. Then what do you do?
You might want to get one of those packs from Chris, with your fifth of tequila.
There you go.
No, you can move to Canada. You can do that.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I would never move north.
The winters are too cold
move to Mexico.
No,
winters are too hot.
I'd rather go to Costa Rica. There's a reason behind that. I want to go to Costa Rica for a reason.
I know why you want to go to Costa Rica.
I want to go to Costa Rica.
I want to go. Take me.
So let's all just go to Costa Rica.
There we go. Yeah, we got one guy to see when we're there, so we're bringing a famous boxer.
You want to go hang out with your friend for a while?
No. We'll hang out. Yeah, we'll hang out and make them act like nothing's wrong, and then at the end of the night.
We can do it like Weekend at Bernie's.
There you go.
There you go. We'll have to get a lot of Survivor boxes.
So. Oh my God.
I can see us there on the beach somewhere in Costa Rica, and then all of a sudden, here comes that comet.
Yeah. Just as someone's coming out of the water too.
We're sitting here saying life don't get any better than this, and all of a sudden the water starts sucking back with a big tidal wave getting ready to come in.
What could you do? Just take a big old drink.
That's the reason why with everything that could happen to any single person on this planet any given day, to the amount of just somebody you trying to cross the street and some drunk driver plows you over, all this kind of stuff that is going on, and it seems like 99% of the country right now is all bitching about Obamacare and that it's not working or it's not good and it's not that. And I totally understand why they're doing it. But just like anything else I was saying, it is one small piece in a very big, huge puzzle that there are problems all over the place.
There you go.
You know, and like the idea of talking about the government being in control of your insurance and all the rest of this, think back right before Katrina, and I seem to remember we talked about this last time we were on this show.
Right.
Was that before Katrina, you had an average of $2.30 in gas prices. Katrina hits, all of a sudden everybody freaks out. You've got $6, $7 gas by the gallon on both coasts. Everywhere in between, you've got $4 and $5 levels. Everybody's freaking out. Once everything settles down, it all falls into a position of an average of $3.30 a gallon. And no one even flinches. No one notices that after all this, gas went up a total $1.
Yeah, it was $1.67 a gallon, and the day it hit, I was there in New Orleans.
Right.
I watched the gas stations that had a generator rise the gas prices to almost $3.50 a gallon instantly. And if you were caught walking down the road, like if you ran out of gas and you had a gas can in your hand, you may not make it to your location with gas anyways.
Right.
But the point is that underneath all of this, with all of this chaos that was going on, and just the whole idea that it practically flatlined New Orleans, by the time it's all said and done, the rest of the country now has to deal with a gas rate that has increased for basically no purpose other than shock and awe. The shock and awe of it is whenever all the gas stations all of a sudden threw their gas prices through the roof. And then once everything settled at $3.30 or whatever it was, everybody just kind of let out a collective sigh of relief, say, oh, thank God it's not $6 anymore. But they're not thinking that it was $2 just a few weeks ago.
But you always hear their excuses. It's like, well, the rigs that were out in the coast suffer damage. And so therefore, because we're having to shut off the rigs production or repair the damages or both, you're paying for it.
Right. Okay. And I guess that also qualifies for why has the U.S. actually been over there sitting in Iraq on top of all these oil production companies for the last, decade? And then how many other places can we get oil inside of this country? I know the Gulf is not the only place.
Venezuela is less than $1 a gallon. I could be wrong on the price today, but last time I had this topic, it was under $1 a gallon while we were at $3-something a gallon.
Right. Commercialization is a big problem, and capitalization is a big problem here. And my point is that, okay, everybody winds up on Obamacare, and the prices are more expensive, but everybody just starts to kind of get used to it, and they're paying it. And all of a sudden, we've got some massive pandemic that hits. Let's say all of a sudden we've got SARS that lands in America, and 40% of the population is sick, and everybody's freaking out. How much do you want to bet that every single person's insurance is going to go up by a significant amount? It is going to balloon up because everybody's going to freak out. And then all of a sudden, whenever it settles, once the whole thing is all done, everybody's rates are going to be higher. That's the kind of control that they have potentially with this insurance, is to be able to fluctuate those costs on a whim, just like they do with gas, just like they do with oil, just like they do with electricity, everything else.
I know a simple solution that would actually help, which is not a repair to an extent. But if we're talking about the voting population is 14, possibly at the top, 16 to 18% of the community, if more people would be concerned and stop bitching and complaining, go vote, do your research, then go vote, you might make a little change here. Might. Just my thoughts.
I mean,
but the problem is, it's like the idea of recycling. I absolutely love recycling. I recycle. The problem is, I know in the back of my head, recycling really only matters if enough people does it. And now let's say if only 60% of the people in the U.S. do it, that's a pretty decent number. But what if only 30% are doing it? At what point are you wasting your time trying to do something that no one else is doing? That's exactly what voting is. I mean, we've got a system in place to where we can go in and we can vote for the right people, the right bills, everything. But we don't have enough people actually taking action and getting involved in voting.
On both
That's part
sides,
of the
too.
problem.
I mean, on both sides,
Right.
too. Because, for example, several times when you're at voting, you don't really have a large selection of who. Your choices aren't very good. You got Pee Wee Herman, and you got, I'm just saying.
Right, but it's like if you go online right now and you look at all these articles, like this one article on CNBC that I wound up sitting there for the last week arguing with these people, it's not even about the message anymore. It is about Democrat versus Republican. And that all of a sudden these Democrats are sitting here saying the rest of all these Republicans or whatever are freeloaders. It doesn't matter who I voted for. It matters more about Democrat or Republican. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what? At the end of the day, does it really matter whether or not a person has voted for Obama or a person voted for somebody else, or if a person is Democrat or Republican? Everybody has their right to be whatever they want, but at some point in time or another, everybody's got to unify to be able to get anything done. I mean, you can't. Obamacare has come in and just created this huge swath between Democrat and Republican at this point. I mean, you've got two defensive sides basically just throwing tomatoes and whatever else at each other. So they're spending more time talking about that stuff than they are the actual problem. And that's what just concerns me, because it's going to continue doing this for God knows how long. And what's to say that we sit here and we do all of this over the next year, and all of a sudden the next election comes along, and all of a sudden a Republican lands in office, and he decides to rip Obamacare completely out. Then we're right back at square one.
Hopefully we have on our next election, we have a better choice, because I like to see a wider variety of people in there. Like, say, for example, somebody who I think loves the Second Amendment rights, Ted Nugent. Could you imagine him running for president?
Oh, wow.
Ready to wango tango here.
What about Jesse Ventura? What about him? I like Jesse.
Yeah, he would be a good candidate right there.
What's your thoughts, Buster, about all this? I mean, you're sitting back there. I can't believe.
I'm just getting both sides, it's a big issue, some people like Obamacare, some people don't. I look at MSNBC, they hate it. Then CNC loves it. So you got, the country is just divided about Obamacare. And, one thing I do understand that the insurance companies is not really talking about it. I wonder, are they the ones making a lot of money off of this?
Oh yeah, but the thing about it is I think they're keeping their mouth shut, waiting for it to get in full swing, and then they're going to jack up their premium prices.
So technically, Obamacare is for the insurance.
What insurance?
The only people that are really profiting is the insurance companies.
Well, no. You would like to think that, right? What do you think, Dave? You think that they're going to be rolling in dough, or do you think the government has their hand on them as well? Chris, anybody?
Are you asking me if I think the insurance companies are going to be rolling in dough?
Yeah.
Let's use oil companies as an example, and you answer your own question.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess that is true. Bravo.
So yes, I do think, maybe not immediately, maybe not this year, maybe not 2014, but sooner than later, there's going to be all kinds of banks going around.
But they're going to get all kinds of people running for Senate offices and stuff that are like, let's pass a law that everybody required by law is going to have to buy an AT&T cell phone.
Right.
There's going to be somebody in there trying to...
At what point? That's where my question is. At what point do we finally stand up and say no more? because eventually, each time they do something like this and they let it get by, each time they increase the gas price and nobody says anything about it, each time they force insurance down our throat and nobody says anything about it, each time it basically, it's like the cry wolf scenario. They can keep inching in different things, forcing people to do different things constantly, and before you know it, they've got the entire country in this situation where they don't have any choice. They are being forced into taking these different things.
Right now, some of the choices. Right now, some of the choices we're not having. We had a lady that was on the show last week that has. She's a representative for the cystic fibrosis patient with this lung disease. I've had family members that had this. When you have somebody that requires to have a surgery, life depends on it, and your insurance doesn't cover it.
Right.
Where do you go? Your life is depending on situations right there.
Well, you see, that's what they claimed that Obamacare was supposed to solve, because Obamacare is going to say, hey, doesn't matter if you've got a pre-existing condition, we're going to insure you. They neglected to say, oh, well, it's going to cost you a fortune, and they also promised to allow everybody, if you like your doctor and you like your insurance, you can keep it. Obama only said that 50 times. And now all of a sudden this new insurance, a lot of the doctors are not taking part in it. So you may very well lose your doctor. You obviously lost your plan. And now all of a sudden you have a situation like that person who needs, absolutely positively has to have surgery and can't get it.
But see, I like to say something. My sister, she had pneumonia. And she went to, and she got Medicare. And she went to, I forgot, I think Blodgett Hospital, and Medicare covered 100% of her hospital stay and everything. So that part, so what I'm trying to figure out, what is the difference between Medicare and Obamacare? It's just because Medicare covered my sister's medicine and her hospital. I mean, she had not paid not one dime.
I think. Anybody want to try to explain this again?
Isn't the difference between the two is Medicare, the people who don't qualify for Medicare have to have the Obamacare?
No, the other way
If
around.
you're not on one, you're on the other?
Well, if you cannot afford anything on Obamacare, like you're under the, I think it's 54%, you have to be 54% under the poverty level. And then you.
$45,940.
What's that?
$45,940. Less than that per individual.
And then you get free health care. And then you
Right.
qualify. But see, the problem is when you go to get on Medicaid, they'll turn you down because you don't qualify. And I asked earlier, what are you going to do? If you can't get Obamacare, then you get nothing. Then you get fined $90.
Well, for those select people out there that have a situation like that, cystic fibrosis or cancer or whatever it is that they have, if they can't get Medicaid or insurance to cover them or whatever the situation is, and they need this, I mean, it's basically a death sentence.
Yeah, what it is, right. That's exactly what it is. And not to mention that we have to do this. We don't have a choice. I hate that.
Well, we do have a choice, though.
What?
Look at the bright side. If you don't pay this, you don't pay your student loan money, and you don't pay your taxes, they're going to give you a free housing and free food.
There you go. I guess that is a win-win, huh?
Let me just stop paying everything, because maybe then I'll get, pay all my stuff.
Well, I wouldn't like the little cell they put you in or whatever, but
hell, it's better than freaking. At least you're gonna freaking wake up. Well, maybe not. I mean,
maybe not. And maybe your butt might be a little too sore, but
I think it just gets me that a lot of I like Dave's attitude. It's like he hears everybody, he hears us talking about it. But the thing about it is there's something else brewing, and what this all goes back to we all love talking about 9/11, and one of the things that I can remember is one night Chris. It's actually one of the first times I met Chris, and he got on the radio show and he started talking about 9/11, how it was precision demolition that brought the towers down, and they precision demolition all the other buildings that collapsed around them. I literally told Chris to shut up. I said,
Buster, have you ever seen Yosemite Sam?
Yeah.
Robert reminded me of Yosemite Sam at that one moment. You could almost just hear him just steam coming out the ears.
Oh, Buster's seen me upset before, haven't you, Buster?
Hi, yeah.
Buster was like, I got a frickin' talking to you. Man, you need to settle down. I said, I'm fine. I'll be fine as soon as we get through with this. You know?
I said, just need to chill out, all right? You don't have to take it serious, okay?
Well,
very few people have ever just sat there blatantly and told me to shut up, and I'm like, wow, okay.
I said, I don't want to talk about it. This is not the place to talk about it because I just was not prepared, you know. And you know, the thing about it is what Chris said was the conversation was we were having it was actually a memorial show on 9/11, and Chris came into the picture as a guest, and he had his opinion. I thought, you know, we were going to talk about how, you know, what you were doing that day and all this other, but Chris came in with this agenda saying, well, he goes, I know I got proof that these were, you know, precision demolition. You can see it. I've got all the video. I'm like, you know, we need to stop. You need to shut up right now. This is it, you know. So tonight, Chris is going to get to do his thing, and he's going to talk about it. And we got some people here. We got Buster here. We got Dave here, and I'm sure Dave will have
Rob, Buster, Dave, and Darian. When you sit there and you watch these videos over and over and over on YouTube and different sources, and you see like somebody on a phone, and all of a sudden this blast comes out of the bottom of the building, and everyone jumps to the ground, and they realize what happened, that something just blew up. And now all of a sudden the building's getting ready to fall as it's coming down. Everybody runs out of there. And when you watch the videos of buildings that were near the trade towers that just fell to the ground perfectly because of heat damage, the people in the street didn't burn up, but the heat damages and stuff. How do you not speculate the things that I said that night?
Well, you know, that was probably the most dumbest thing you ever saw, and I'll tell you why. Cause I swear that I saw planes hitting that building, and the planes were going about 500-600 miles per hour hitting the building. You don't know what the building's going to do if a plane hits it, you know. So why would you say that? Oh, the government just totally just blew it up. For what? What's the reason?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, Chris, one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to piss Buster off because he is the next box fan. He knows exactly how to.
What is the reason for the government just to blow up the building to kill 3,000 people, just to go to war over some, I reckon, some oil? That don't make sense. I mean,
to me, my only concern with this whole conversation is I just don't know how appropriate it is, only because of a lot of people lost lives, a lot of people lost family members, and I know we're talking about something that was years and years ago. I get that, but I understand that people have their questions about it. I don't necessarily agree. Robert knows how I feel about it, but
yeah, but see, that's the thing.
You know, I'm just saying you should agree, but we need evidence. You ain't giving no evidence.
But
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but see, this is what got me when, you know, and Chris, he's got the evidence. He says he's got the people. He's got everything.
It was the videos I was talking about that I had seen. It's not evidence. It's just what I'd watched.
Yeah, but how easily are movies more manipulated?
They are. They're very manipulative because I've since then my brain has been slightly reformed. I have been better educated.
Right. Well, you know,
I've seen a different light.
Dave,
okay, you stop smoking marijuana. All right, so you got that done.
That's your first step, right? Dave, really, what is your opinion about 9/11? I mean, I know you and I have talked about it, but I told you when we got to the subject that you got to come out.
I told you. I was working at the ABC affiliate in Las Vegas, Nevada, whenever this happened. I was at my house. I was asleep whenever the first tower was hit. I got a phone call from my father who was telling me, all he just kept saying over and over again, we're going to war, we're going to war, we're going to war. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. I turn the TV on. I see what's happening. I freak out. I jump in my car, and I'm flying down the interstate, 90 miles an hour to get to the station. I walk inside this television station with just the entire newsroom is just buzzing with different people. Everybody's freaking out. We don't even have the actual news director in the building yet. We just have somebody that was just fired 2 days before, who was the assistant news director, had just all of a sudden came back to the station because he knew that we needed help. So we just I walk inside this building, everybody's freaking out. The TVs are all on around us, and we see what's going on. And we sat there. There was just like this collective silence, and everybody just freaked out as soon as that second tower went down. And it was just, nobody knew what to say. Nobody knew what to do. And I just had to run around to all of these different people and try to get their minds back into it. I'm like, what do we need to do for the show? We're about to break into this newscast. We need to know what to say. We're going to be dumping the satellite signal and going back to live news. We need to know what to do. So I'm like running around trying to figure out what pieces we need and what graphic pieces here and this and that. And I'm running around trying to get all of this, trying to get everybody back together. We finally come up with our newscast. We do our thing. And the whole time we're sitting here with this direct feed from ABC. Like they've just got these cameras all positioned throughout New York, all down there by Ground Zero. And we're just watching all of this stuff that's not even live on TV. And we just see all this stuff inside the building, and I'm watching them pulling bodies out or doing whatever it is that they do, things that the average people just don't see because it wasn't ever aired. And I'm just thinking there's no way that this was just some kind of a fluke. I mean, like Buster said, these planes flew into these buildings, 500, 600 miles per hour, whatever it is. These are huge planes. These aren't like little, two prop planes just flying around. These are huge jets. They managed to just come walk right into our country and, smack us so hard that it resonated, and we're still talking about it this long after. And just the complete chaos of everything that happened. That was the first time that I have ever seen. Like, I wound up being at the station in that scenario for 3 days. I didn't even go home because we just had so much stuff that was going on. And that night, I had to leave to go get something to eat. And I was driving across the Strip. And that was the first time in my life I have ever seen the entirety of the Strip pitch black. Every single casino had every single light off. All they had was spotlights up to the side of the building with an American flag. That was the first. It was like an astounding thing to see. I had to stop my car and get out and just know that I'm standing in the middle of the Strip and there's no one there. And it was just odd to know all of that is going on. And then now to have these groups online talking about, it was a conspiracy and this and that. I appreciate what they're saying. I don't agree. I don't agree only because you really have to ask, could all of that have happened? Possibly. That could have all possibly happened. But what would be the point to it? What would be the benefit for the government or for some military operation? What would be the benefit to destroying those two buildings? What has happened since that point that gives any proof that there was any benefit to that happening? Who actually got their benefit out of this? I just don't see it.
I think
let's give some idea. Go
got
ahead.
with carte blanche to go to war, though.
Well, yeah. That I can see.
There could be multiple reasons. I mean, just think about it as if you were a landowner, you wanted to put something there and demolition some buildings that were there. I'm not saying that's it, but I'm just saying, think of if you wanted to figure it out, what could be the reasons? What could, if it were that?
See, my thing is, if somebody did do that, if there is some landowner out there, let's say, that wanted to have that land, so they decided to blow up the buildings, I think somebody needs to go find this guy and jam some, like, dynamite up his ass and see how he likes to be blown up.
There you go.
Yeah, that would keep him from doing that.
I need to do more than that. But
well, I mean, when you hear all the people, the hearsays on the internet, and you listen to all that, they can convince you Elvis did it.
Or Big
I mean,
Man,
really, I'm saying it sarcastically, but I'm just telling you.
Yeah, but
you know, like
were,
the Pentagon had one whole wing that was renovated.
Well, what did it for Chris was after we had that show, it was probably almost a half a year, wasn't it, before you asked me to explain to you why.
I wasn't going to bring that up again at all.
And he goes, and I said to him, I said, I'm going to tell you something right now, and this is what I'm going to tell you. And I just told him. Sat there, he kept quiet, he didn't interject, and I said, this is why. You got to understand, there's elements at play that can make anybody think anything. But you have to understand, there's a thing called kinetic energy. And kinetic energy is something that you don't want to mess with. Those jets flying into those buildings, the kinetic energy, I can bet you that the foundations cracked when those planes hit those buildings. I bet you all the way down in the basement. What do you think?
That is a serious impact. I mean, I know they've had small Cessnas and other smaller craft crash into a lot of buildings in the past that caught on fire. But you're talking about a lot of gallons of.
The only thing that I told Dave this, and we kind of leave the subject alone because there's really no explanation at all. But the one that hit the Pentagon, there's a little doubt in my mind there. I don't know how the hell that guy did what he did, how he flew that massive jet without.
The difference between them and us, the thing that I think nobody seems to understand, is something called commitment. These people are committed to an ideal, and they will do whatever it takes to make that ideal happen. They will work 90 hours a week, easy. They will work every single hour of the week. They will go weeks without sleep in order to make sure that they maximize their education on what they need to do. It may sound psychotic, because the average person will not do that. They're not going to sit there and go try to learn how to fly a jet in 2 weeks. These guys are so committed that they will sit there in quiet, in these shadows, right there next to us all this time, and they're going to learn everything they need to know. Because that is their one true goal. That is all they're there for.
You don't need a land, just fly it.
Right.
But, the thing about it...
That commitment that they have is the one thing that I think, if anything, that's what people should be afraid of. Is because whenever somebody is that committed, it's like somebody going off and deciding they're going to launch a business, and they're so committed to that business, and all of a sudden that business is Facebook.
Right.
That's what commitment can bring if they are dedicated to what their beliefs are, and they are so damn dedicated it is almost ridiculous.
Right.
Well, I don't really call it committed. I call it demonic,
Oh, yeah. Well, it's commitment to dark thoughts. I'm not saying it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing...
Did you say committed or commitment?
Commitment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the thing about it is these people are around us. And I for one, I'm just going to tell you this. If you think the Twin Towers was bad, they found how easy it is to get through, and we're still, what gets me is before 9/11, how many people are here living amongst us right now? We're talking millions of them, and we don't know, and I'm not, I don't like to stereotype, but.
But you can't. We can't generalize and say that every single person from that country in our country is out to do
right,
our
right,
harm,
and that's the hard part.
bullshit.
Right,
Excuse my
that's
language,
right,
but-
right. Yeah, it is. But the thing about it is what gets me is we don't know, but we're stuck here saying, what can we do to protect us? And the thing about it is just keep your eyes open and
Some
observe.
of my best friends, Rob, were from over in the Arab nations, and when this happened, my God, you wouldn't believe the crap that they had to put up with.
Oh yeah,
You know, where everybody was stereotyping people that had nothing. And, you know, one of my really good friends, his children were born here, but he wasn't. And every day of his life, driving a record, which he owned the record company, you know, people were just, you know, giving him hell.
Right.
But can I? I'm going to say something.
Okay.
I think the government does know everything now. All right, don't fool yourself. We didn't have a terrorist attack since 9/11 in about 10 years.
Yeah.
Trust me, the government knows who's been naughty and who's been nice. You know, with all these electronics and all this surveillance, they know what's going on. You understand? I believe they're into every computer, every cell phone, every thing that we do. They know how to trace and find these terrorists. I think we are very safe because right now the government knows what everybody's been doing.
Wow.
So they've had Santa Claus as a spy working for the government.
I bet they are listening to us right now. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're talking about basically the Patriot Act. I mean, I get that. Now, I don't know.
Don't you do that?
It is easy to cause harm to anyone that becomes complacent, and that was the problem with America before 9/11. They had this. That was their big brash. We are we're the king of the world kind of thing, and they're not really paying attention to all the stuff on the side. You know, and that's where somebody can just sneak in and do something. Do I think that it can happen again? Absolutely. Do I think it's gonna happen again? Absolutely.
Oh yeah, and it's gonna be something
tomorrow,
different.
But
Yeah.
it's gonna happen whenever we least expect it, and it's a shame. I wish stuff like that just didn't have to happen because I mean, really, life is too short for us to have to worry about just bullshit. But it just still happens, and it just keeps coming. But there are a bunch of people out there who would like nothing more than to watch you die.
Do you think, in your opinion, and this is a real tough one, guys, do you believe that somehow everything that happened with 9/11 had anything or everything to do with what's happening now with the Obamacare, having us be controlled more? Let me, and then it says, do you feel that we have any more control in our lives, or do we have the rights that are given to us in the Constitution?
Now, is that a question?
That's from Ashley out of California. So.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, it's a good question. I think. I mean, it's definitely something to consider. But do I think they're directly connected? No. The government would never specifically line out anything that is directly connected. But are things like the Patriot Act, potentially things like what happened in New Orleans and their actual response of the government, and how things like, potentially this Obamacare, anything else that goes on to individually start selecting and figuring out how to control individuals and taking more kind of a grasp of the country. Do I think it all has anything to do with it? Quite possibly.
Right.
I mean, just look at what it did to the airports and everything else.
Oh, right.
I mean,
do you feel that we're losing our rights bit by bit?
Yes.
In what capacity?
I mean, one of my favorite subjects in school was history. Always was. Go back through history books and see where people's liberties were at one point and where they are today.
Take away their guns and you take away their freedom.
Figure out how much of the Constitution was actually followed back then and how much it's ignored now. I mean, there are so many damn loopholes that everybody has figured out at this point. And if you actually believe that every single move the government does is being broadcast on CNN and right smack in front of your face in the newspapers and on websites, you're not paying attention. There's so many things that are going on behind the scenes, between all the lines, and between all those lines of those articles that you're reading, that most people just completely miss and bypass because people have just gotten used to the airline. They keep getting fed what they've got. They push through their 9-to-5 job. They never try to get anything beyond what they've got. And it's not a matter of whether or not they're willing to go out there and fight. It's just a matter of they have become comfortable in their lives, and they are fully accepting of the fact that the government has their best interests at heart. And that's not always true.
Anybody?
And that's just a fact of the matter. I mean,
Buster.
Yes.
What's your opinion?
Well, my opinion, my opinion is, if you, and history is my favorite subject, and
here we
I
go.
look how far, and I'm looking at it as a African American man, how far we came from back in the late early centuries until now, and we came a long way. Personally, I believe that this is the greatest country in the world, and I believe that, yes, we are imperfect. We make a lot of mistakes, but we learn from our mistakes. I also believe that this is probably the most freest country in the world. I looked at all over the world. There's child prostitution in Asia. There's none but violence and terrorism in the Middle East. There is famine and genocide in Africa. And I just look out over the world, and there's nothing better than home. And this is how I look at it. Yes, we make a lot of mistakes. Yes, we are imperfect, but yeah, I ain't going nowhere.
Uh-huh.
I know, but at the same time, we're sitting, and I fully agree with everything you're saying. But at the same time, look at where we are today, and how long ago was it that we had all of the problems with prejudice between white and black, and all of that whole problem. But you know what? In today's times, it still exists. There are still moronic people fighting each other over things that really shouldn't even matter anymore. Why do people have to be as prejudiced as they are? Why do things like the KKK still have to exist? Why do these things continue to go on?
Right, but look at it this way. It's not just a black and white thing. There's the homosexual community. I mean, it going through a lot of prejudice things.
My community too. I'm half Native American.
Native Americans. Oh my God! I was doing my research. They are the highest in suicide rate, and the Native Americans. Look at obesity. They said by 2020, 1 out of every 5 kids will have come with some type of obesity and some diabetes. So yes, we got our problems. Don't get me wrong, but and we can always be divided in our own opinions and everything. But that's why people like coming to America, because they can share that problem. They can share that problem in another place but America.
Right. But America has kind of become like that. I think, what do they call that hotel in Beverly Hills? Like W? Something like that, like the really fancy hotel in Beverly Hills. That is the posh place that if you stay there, it doesn't matter if you're in the penthouse or not, you're going to spend thousands of dollars a night. Everything that you get out of their little mini fridge is going to be uber expensive. Forget about trying to order food. That's going to be at least a few $100s. There are some
You're not talking about the Hotel 8.
I'll take the Holiday Inn. I'll take the Holiday Inn. It's pretty good.
We're not talking about Motel 6 right now. I'm saying that America has become that kind of exclusive location that other people in the world know about America's liberties and what they can do there. And yes, we are still better than probably a lot of other countries.
Uh-huh.
I'm not saying all of them. I have a friend of mine here that came from Croatia, and she was smack in the middle of everything that was going on there. And so she's incredibly thankful to be here in America now with her family.
Right.
But just some of the horror stories that she has to tell will blow your mind. But so I understand that America is like this, the white sandy beaches, that it's just something that's just awesome for some people.
Right.
But we need to make sure that it stays that way, is my point. We have to make sure that we stay and retain that quality.
We have people that are sneaking in all the time that do things. For example, this one particular person has over 500,000 shares of Monsanto, and everything that you're eating at the grocery stores is GMO or this and that. Food that's genetically altered to not have insects eat it, or drought. And we're ingesting these foods, and we don't have any. It seems like there's nobody really on our side to keep the money out. And I didn't say the product; I said the money.
Right. That's where. Yes, obesity is a problem in this country, but do you really see anybody really going out of their way to really try to stop it? What I'm saying is McDonald's is still open. Burger King is still throwing out the burgers every day. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about those companies, but it's called capitalization. Their job is to make you fat. They want you to come in there and buy every damn, Big Mac or whatever it is.
Well, there goes a sponsor.
I call it free will, Hey, same thing as McDonald's. Drugs, cocaine, heroin, nobody can tell you snort that or put that in your vein. All that's about free will, So, capitalism. Yeah, I'm a capitalist. Everybody on this phone is a capitalist. Everybody talk about the money. I like money, but I like playing by the rules too. But I think that my opinion that you don't blame that really on capitalism. I think everybody got free will. My opinion is about America, and maybe people agree with me or disagree with me, but I think America is a lot better when people don't get along.
Huh.
We are much more stronger nation when people don't get along, because their ideas is always protected by the Constitution.
So you're telling me that if we all start getting along, the whole country'd go to hell?
I didn't say that. I'm saying that Howard Stern versus Robert Willicott in a fight, I'm saying that maybe Howard Stern might win.
Good, nice move. Nice. Yeah, he's gonna win, and he's gonna beat me up with his lawyers. That's before I even get to the fight. I'll be saying you can't hit him. He's got to hit you.
What I meant by capitalization with the obesity, just so it makes more sense. I'm not saying that it's all capitalization. What I'm saying is that from the beginning of where we started, doing all of these things, it used to be that people would grow their own food and they had natural this and natural that. That was society back then. And then just over time, they have just like what we're talking about with everything else. Over time, it has slowly started to change. All of a sudden, what you buy in the store may not be natural. That's the reason why there's organic food, and people are buying that.
Or farm
But you still have, cupboards full of junk food, snack food, all the rest of this stuff because of the problem that people work harder today than they did back then.
Yeah,
the value of money now is so much lower than what it used to be. Everything is more expensive.
Yeah, but I like to say that back then, people went out, worked, got their job. I'm talking about in my time when I was growing up. Used to work in the trucking company now. But now we got this internet. We got these Xboxes and these PlayStations. Entertainment right now is at home. You can have your own stuff. You don't really have to get out to talk and to meet people no more. We can do everything over our cell phone numbers and everything. So, Yes, I think that's another one called for obesity in people. Could people stop going out and doing everything? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean the sad part is
it's like. Go ahead. You hardly say anything, so please. Feel free, you have the floor.
That's surprisingly she's being quiet. That's what's surprising me right now.
You know, something
Very
Chris
funny.
kind of stuck in my head. My sister got sick a couple years ago, and she had endometriosis, and because of the genetically altered wheat, she developed a gluten allergy that was aggravating her problems. And she went to France with a school program. And while she was over there, you know, wasn't able to eat anything like that. And she said, you know what, I'm in France. I'm going to have some French bread from France. I don't care how much it hurts. And she ate it and didn't get sick. Well, after we started doing some research, the U.S. is the only one that uses the genetically altered wheat. There are no gluten allergies in France. There are no people getting sick in other countries that don't have these genetically altered things. Exactly. And I mean, genetically altering it and allowing the government to say, okay, well, look, now we're going to only sell this kind, or, you know, we're going to cause something, you know, and I agree that 9/11 was a conspiracy, but I'm not, you know, saying that to add to this. But, you know, it's just like the 9/11 thing. You know, because of something they did, then they were authorized by the majority of the nation to go to war because of something they created. And, you know, because of something they created, like the genetically altered wheat, now you have to buy organic stuff, you know, which is so much more expensive. It's like you were saying on the gas prices, you know, now you have to pay so much more, but it's
easier to go to the hospital and have to use their insurance.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, for her, it was less expensive to just cut out wheat than it was to, you know, go buy the organic stuff or have to go to the hospital if she ate wheat. You know, I mean, so things like that,
programmable diseases.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like
Those
obesity.
exist too, I'm sure.
Yes, obesity is a programmed disease in its own self. A lot of people claim it's a thyroid. You know, that does exist. There are a lot of thyroid issues. But a lot of the foods that you're eating, they don't really realize that you're eating a hamburger that, my God, that's a full day right there, and just the Happy Meal of the calories that person needs to intake. And they don't understand this because a lot of this is not educated in our schools on proper nutrition. For example, a lot of people that are going through a suicide rate, most of them don't realize that they could actually self-treat themselves if they had a healthy immune system, eating the proper foods, having the micronutrients their body requires.
Any thoughts?
I mean, well, you say that, Chris, but okay, look at me. I have no thyroid. I had thyroid cancer 14 years ago and had my thyroid and all of its components removed. I take no thyroid medication. I control my weight by an active lifestyle and by what I eat.
Yes.
So...
And plus not sleeping.
Oh, I have a thyroid condition. That's why I weigh 300 pounds. You know, a friend of mine in the last 10 years has gained 80 pounds. You know why? Because the guy eats only food shoveled out of a window and did that for like a 6-month period. And now is to the point that when he sits down to make himself something, you know, he'll make 8 eggs, you know, an entire roll of sausage and a can of biscuits and eat that for his dinner.
Wow.
I mean, we're now shoving 44-ounce glasses of sugar out drive-through windows and calling that a drink. That's not a drink. Drink water. Drink tea.
Okay, but guys, I like to say one thing, and I like to say this. Food is like a drug, all right? It's like cocaine or heroin. It's an addiction.
Oh, yeah.
All right? It's something that you need. You know, let me tell you a little bit. When I retired from boxing, I blew up to 335 pounds. And Then the doctor said, so I went and got me a gastro bypass, and I lost about 180 pounds. And because on my father's side, everybody died of complications of obesity, and because food is a drug and is very addictive.
You know, and my grandfather said something that ties into that today. He told me, he said, you know, Darwin was the one who decided that humans were animals, that they were part of the animal kingdom. But humans are the only animal in the animal kingdom who have decided you need to eat 3 meals a day even if you're not hungry.
Y'all are smoking more than sausage.
Anything you, Dave, you got? I mean, in my opinion, you know, I think the government, in my own opinion, is trying to stop people from being healthy. I mean, you brought a lot of stuff to attention when I watched that one movie. I forget what it was called, but
Farmageddon.
Yeah, Farmageddon. I mean, it really shows you that these, you know, nobody's hurting anybody. And so what if these people go and buy milk from a roadside?
They will raid you. The agencies will raid your house with assault rifles.
And they did. And these people are like, they're not out hurting anybody.
Look it up on Netflix, Farmageddon.
Yeah.
Great movie.
I tell you what, it's just like it makes you really think, and it's just like when we watch.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant about capitalization.
Right.
There are companies that came around years and years and years and years ago. And if you think the government doesn't have their pockets lined with money coming in from these different places,
they do.
Does gas have to be as expensive as it is? Absolutely not. But it is because, well, the oil companies demand it because they're trying to make a certain amount of money on a yearly basis. And they even talked about that right after Katrina. That was part of the problem. They got
but, you know, they're hand in hand with the pharmaceutical companies, the petroleum companies. They're both utilized just to make our prescriptions we have to take. You know, and when you sit there and where I was talking about a while ago, a certain person owns 500,000 shares of Monsanto. And let's look at this logically. In 2012, there were more farm deaths related suicides because people losing their farms. When you look at a farm on one side of the road that has seed that's been sown for over 200 years, and then you have a new crop, this farmer just started a couple years ago, and he actually thought he's going to store his grain for the following year to feed his animals, his crops. You can't do that if you're under a contract on Monsanto. But regardless, you're going to have cross-pollination take place. Then they're going to do a DNA test on your crop and find out that your crop was their crop. Because of cross-pollination, it's showing their DNA on Monsanto's grain. They're going to take your farm and seize it. So then you have big companies taking over all of the farmlands. You're taking over that right there with our prescriptions and our oil. Everything is combined together that we're going to need. You know, it's who's it coming out of? If you don't have some of these companies coming in there making it affordable for prescriptions, you know, I have a lady who I know in Huntington who has how much money worth a month do you think your mom takes, Darian?
If she had to pay for it outright?
Yes, outright.
Probably about $6,000 to $8,000 a month.
Yeah, on prescriptions.
Yes.
Right.
But here's the sad thing, you know. I mean, bringing that up, okay? It took us 7 years, and I know I spent well over $200,000 to get her Medicaid, to get her put on disability. I mean, the woman was on oxygen 24 hours a day. She can't breathe. You know, she's got a list of medical problems, and I know a woman who also lives here in Huntington, and it took her 6 months. It's one of the fastest Medicaid decisions I've ever heard of. She is 60% deaf in one ear. That is her only problem. Now explain to me why in that system, why it was easier for a woman who can physically work, and I mean, I know you three have never met, you know, my adopted mom, Chris has. Chris, do you think that she could do a day's work or sit even in an office and do a day's work?
She could barely walk across the street.
That's about it. And by the time she walks across the street on oxygen, she's completely out of air. If she stands more than 15 minutes, her legs will swell to twice the size they are. I mean, and
But a lot of these things, I believe, are told that we have to have.
Let's see if they're controlling. If they're all controlling, listen. Let's back up a little bit. If they're all controlling, like Dave was saying earlier, you know, it's all about pretty much about control anyway. No matter how you put everything together, okay. If you look back and you keep following this, it's kind of like a bread trail. We're getting closer and closer to what's actually going to happen. I mean, this all started. 9/11 wasn't the start of it. It all started way before this. And now I look where we're at right now. Where we're at now, we're being forced into this healthcare. We're Dave says we got a choice. I guess we do. I guess either choose to not have it or have it and be charged by the government no matter what. But I don't know. I mean, where are we right now in our country?
The fact of the matter is there's no one that, I don't think that there's anyone that could be elected to office as a president and could actually come in and disable 90% of what's been done. I mean, everything is so entrenched at this point. There is so much money being changing hands in the government or the stock markets or everything else. There's just a lot of money to be had, and these companies don't want to let that money go. And unless somebody comes up with some kind of criminal acts against these companies for causing obesity, causing people to get sick, causing people to have cancer, all the rest of that, unless somebody can actually prove that, it is going to be really hard to stop what is going on.
Well, they have proven it. In 2013, University of Harvard had proven that fluoride was the fastest cancer agent known to man.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. And, I mean, they do manage to prove some things, but it is so, they got it so intertwined. It's like that, no matter how you try to pack your Christmas lights whenever Christmas is over, it never fails, and whenever you get them back, they are all somehow
tangled,
just all freaking twined up, and you've got to spend hours trying to unspool them all. That is like the government at this point. It is like just one big spiderweb mess of just all kinds of different stuff going on. And I'm not just pointing at the government. I'm talking about the companies that are in this country producing things like food. I mean, if you think that McDonald's, being one of the largest purchasers of all of this food, if you think that they don't sway who is successful and who is not in the farming industry, you're crazy. They have too much control.
Everything you said, I do not agree with that. Nothing that you said. You think that everybody's in control and all this stuff. I just don't believe none of that. You know, and I'm a firm believer that you are in totally control of your destiny. You know?
But I believe that you are in control of your destiny too. That's the reason why I'm still here. I mean, I got diagnosed with some stuff a year ago that I'm still fighting. But it's not because I've been sitting here plowing down junk food and all the rest of this. I mean, this is stuff that people despite and people don't know. But I'm just saying that there are the people like us that can all get on a call and start talking about things like this. But there's still a whole other section of the country that just doesn't get it. They don't care. You know, they don't understand. They will keep just feeding it into themselves constantly and just think that everything is going to be okay.
You know, when we look at our society today with the cancer rate that it is, you know, I was in Nashville on a new album, and I got a phone call, and I found out both my parents had cancer within 2 weeks apart. My dad died 6 months after that with lung cancer. I'm not mentioning the name of one of a very dear friend of mine who's a host of the show, or a guest on the show. She actually, this person, she's a survivor, as well as my mother's a survivor of cancer. This is something that when I started researching it, you know, we have a cancer clinic here in Charleston, West Virginia, the capital of West Virginia, with a population of nearly 60,000 people. The cancer clinic has, you know, almost half of that, at least half of that. But, of course, they're not all from here. They come from Ashland, Kentucky, around a great area, but they come here. And those places, therefore, have their own cancer. So I started doing a little research here. I figured that, well, it had to be the air we breathe or the food we eat or the water we drink. And to my demise, I found in my research that it's actually been all three that we have. It's the air we're breathing. Certain areas, like this area I'm at, has an 80% higher cancer rate than the average city in the United States. A lot of it from what we eat and what we drink. And then when you listen to certain things that we're doing, have you ever just found an old book just look at a book like from 1901 or something, and they were believing that malaria was caused by mosquitoes, and then you look back on like our simple cancer treatments that we have today. My dad didn't die from the cancer; he died from the treatment. They're injecting a poison in your body that harms both good and bad cells. And we all worry about World War and this and that and running out of oil. This world doesn't have to be the way it is, so greedy. What if we were over-loving?
Right.
That'd be a great place to live at.
That's very true. I mean, a perfect example of that, I live about an hour and a half away from where Chris lives. But this area is known as the Chemical Valley. Chris and I were talking about this the other day. I went when I was in high school and had an allergy test and found out I'm allergic to horses and grass and trees and all this other stuff. I had this allergy test done about a year after. In 1 year, I was in Kodiak Island, Alaska, teaching horseback riding lessons to Inuit Eskimo children on a mission trip. That same year, I rode horseback across the Continental Divide. I wasn't up there sneezing. My nose wasn't running. My allergies weren't bothering me, The year before that, I slept in a hayloft at Snowshoe, because I'd rather sleep outside in the summertime than, stay in a condo that my parents had rented.
Yes, she's allergic to me.
Yeah, that's it. And you're bothering me for Huntington, an hour and a half away. You're still bothering me. But, I mean, my allergies only bother me in this area. They told me on that allergy test I was allergic to iodine. I have kidney disease, and one of the tests that they do when you have kidney disease is they put like 2 quarts of iodine in your veins and then take an x-ray of you like 20 minutes later when it's in your kidneys. Okay, if I was allergic to iodine, I'd have been dead. But I was positive on this allergy test being allergic to iodine because of where I live.
Right.
And a lot of the stuff that we're pumping into our air and putting into our bodies is making it worse. Now, when I found out I had cancer, the doctor told me I had 6 months to live. I was pregnant with my oldest son, who's 13 years old now, and I looked at him, and my grandmother was a cancer survivor, and so I decided I was going to quote her. I said, look, heaven won't take me, and the devil's afraid that I'll go down there and take over, so I'm just too mean to die. You're stuck with me. And, I'm still here 13 years later. Now, I've had it several times since, but I've beat it, and it's just, it's all in your frame of mind. One of my favorite things to say is you can choose to let the things that happen to you in your life define you. You can choose to let who you are define your situations.
Dave, that's coming from a girl that's 5'3", right? Is that correct? 5'3"
and a half.
5'3" and a half.
You notice how short people are always worried about that half.
Yeah, I know. 5'3" and a half staying on my couch.
That half is very important for her.
Yes, I worked very hard for that half. Here's the sad part. I've been the same height since I was in the 6th grade. I was one of the tallest kids in elementary and the beginning of middle school, and then I just quit growing. But
at least you can be happy and satisfied that at some point in your life you were actually taller than other people around you.
Very and other people in my family. Yes, I probably would not have, ended up tall. My mother's 5'7", my father's 5'6". But that was the same year I started smoking cigarettes.
Dave, she went with me somewheres, and somehow one of her shirts got in my laundry, and I washed it, and I'm putting it on Buck, my 3-year-old, and it's hers.
And he said that shirt won't fit you. The next day I wore that shirt just to prove him wrong.
Well, I mean, I agree that I think a lot of it has to do with people's frames of mind. I mean, I believe that I think part of the problem is that if your average person, these are the people, again, that I'm talking about, they're not going to be sitting in this circle of people that we're talking about right now, all of us. We're talking about somebody else that just lives in a house down the street from you that you don't know, you never see, and they just go about their lives doing whatever they do, eating their airline food every day.
Right.
They're going to go to the doctor, and if they get told, you have terminal cancer, you have 6 months, the likelihood of them surviving, number one, the full 6 months is slim. The likelihood of them surviving beyond that 6 months is almost impossible. Because in their frame of mind, that doctor telling them that they have cancer, that means it's going to happen. And as soon as they believe that subconsciously, I really believe that that person's body begins shutting down. If you allow yourself to believe that, if you allow yourself to stop fighting, that is the minute, whenever you're going to lose. I mean, you have to steel yourself to a lot of those things.
Exactly. Your positive energy actually heals. It's a healing. It's proven to heal.
Well,
look at sick children when somebody brings a puppy in.
Right.
They're in pain, but when they bring that puppy in that room, that child is all happy and just like smiling and everything. You know, if when I'm out on stage, how many times have I had butterflies thinking, I can't do this, I can't do this? If you walk out there thinking you can't do this, you're not going to do it. You walk out there and you do your best on everything you could do. Give everything your best you could possibly do, and you will go so much further. Even if you fail, you will go further.
Well, I kind of I agree with Dave because I remember this old guy that he lived up the road from us, and he lived on a farm, and this guy was like 92 years old, and he was out there freaking working, like he worked his whole life. You know what I'm saying? And one day he's sitting there and he goes, "Yeah, I was diagnosed with lung cancer back in," he says, like 1959 or something like that. And everybody looked at him. I go, "What'd you do? Get treatment?" He goes, "Nah." He goes, "I just figured God wants me, He'll take me," and that's it. And he lived to be, I think it was 98 years old. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that got me and that made me not believe what they said was the fact that I got sick and went to the doctors around here for about almost a year.
Right.
And I was diagnosed with everything from spinal problems to, they said you've got kidney problems, but we don't know what's caused them. I had another doctor tell me you don't have kidney problems, it's your spine that's hurting. And I went to, they sent me to OSU, and OSU said, look, you've got kidney disease, but we don't know what kind or what's aggravated it. I went to the doctor in Cleveland, and the doctor introduced himself. I introduced myself, and he looked at me and said, "Can I touch your neck?" Now, this is a kidney doctor. And I looked at my ex-husband and said, now I really have a problem. This guy does not even know where my kidneys are. At this point, I've been going to the doctor for almost a year, and no one could figure out what was wrong with me. And he said, no, it's not that. He said, when you talked, it looked like you were starting to get an Adam's apple. He said, I don't want blood. I don't want urine. I want you to go have an ultrasound right now. 3 hours later, I found out I had 4 tumors in my throat and thyroid cancer. And, I'll go ahead and say this. I'm an idiot. I caused it myself. His next question out of his mouth is, have you ever had an eating disorder? And I said, yes, I come from a very overweight family. I realized that I had gotten overweight. I was the same height I am now. I was 165 pounds, and I stopped eating. I lived on 25 oyster crackers a day for about 3 months. Well, I lost the weight, but in doing that, my thyroid atrophied, and it caused the tumors in my throat. So, yes, I gave it to myself, but, the fact that it spread was not my fault.
All right. Well, another thing that
I think the thing that really rings out here is that each time you go see a doctor, everybody has their own opinions. I mean, nobody really knows, and that's the scary thing.
But it's not always the doctors that can heal your medical conditions, because I actually have attorneys that actually have helped heal my medical conditions because I had this pain in my ass.
That's a good one.
But the divorce actually seems to help it.
Well, another subject that I want to kind of bring up, because we got Dave here, and this all kind of feeds into what we're talking about right now. Is Dave was having some problems not long ago where he had a deficiency, and you'd be surprised at what he found out about vitamin B12. When he told me about it, I was blown away. That if your B12 is down, you're open to get a lot going on, and he could better,
Well, whenever it impacted me, I still have to fight it today, but I didn't know what was going on. I work, I do my thing. I've got a routine. I don't go off and eat all kinds of crazy foods. I'm, very particular about what I put in my body, and then just all of a sudden I got a migraine. And I've had migraines since I was a kid because I cracked my skull. So I take a lot of Advil. So I take Advil, doesn't do anything for my migraine. It just continues to get worse and worse and worse. And before I know it, I've had this migraine for 45 days. It's probably one of the worst migraines I've had in a long time. I can't sleep. I'm agitated. I'm aggravated. I don't know what's wrong. I go to the doctor. They run a series of blood tests. They come back, and the doctor is freaking out because my B12 levels tanked. So I was at, I think, 203, and anything considered below 200 is considered anemic. And I know there's people out there that are fighting even worse B12 problems, like down at 0 and 10 and 100. But that's what being at 200 meant for me. Whenever you're supposed to be at 800, my bones, I had bone pain. I felt like I was just being stabbed constantly. And I started having to have these injections of B12, a daily regimen of just constantly taking these injections, and then I have to take them every month. And then after about 3 months, I finally managed to get back up to 780. And by that point, I felt like a completely different person. My energy was through the roof. I felt healthier. I felt better in general. They said, okay, you're at 780. We can stop taking the shots. Okay, so I stopped taking the shots. 5 months later, I dropped all the way down to about 400 again. So without me injecting the B12, all of a sudden I realized that I'm not retaining B12. But then the problem was whenever they found out that my B12 dropped, then they also realized that my vitamin D levels, which are supposed to be around 70 or 80, I was at 14. My B2 levels had also tanked. My folic acid had also tanked. I had all kinds of micronutrient testing and all this other stuff. I think one day I went to the doctor and they had to take out like close to 15 vials of blood because they're testing for everything.
Did you have any thyroid problems?
No. But at this point, I take more medicine than I've ever taken in my life. I have 5,000 IU of vitamin D on a daily basis. I take B12 or B complex. That's a sublingual thing that you put underneath your tongue for 30 seconds. I usually do that at least once a day. And still on a weekly basis, I generally take an injection of B12, at least. Now, with all of those things combined, I'm okay. But the minute my B12 level starts dropping and I get into a dangerous zone, I have an ear infection or my migraine kicks in and I'm having problems sleeping. I feel like my head is caving in. And as soon as I take like a B12 shot or some complex, the next day I start feeling better. Unfortunately, I'm the person that, for whatever damn reason, God elected me to be the one person that can't take B12 supplement pills. If I take the pills, I have a migraine every single day. My body just can't process the pill for some reason. But if you just inject the liquid into me, I'm fine. And it's still something, and I've got a doctor's appointment next month. And the whole point of that appointment is to figure out what is going on, because I'm looking at it like, if I'm having all of these vitamin deficiencies and all this stuff is going wrong, there's something else happening. There's something deeper going on, just all of a sudden, for no reason, your vitamin levels tank. There's got to be something bigger. And I wound up, I've been to 3 different doctors in this process. The first doctor really concerned me because I asked her flat out. I'm like, well, is it possible that I have cancer? Was cancer runs in my family? And she's like, she just looks at me and she says, oh no, you don't look like you have cancer, so we don't even need to test for that. And I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? I don't look like I have cancer. You know? I'm like, are you telling me that a doctor is not going to test you for cancer if you don't look like you have it? And it stunned me to find out that if you go to the doctor and you have your blood drawn and they run tests, 9 times out of 10, they do not check your B12 level. The only reason why they check it is if you ask for it, because it costs them too much money to check it. And there's a lot of people that have problems with B12, and it's been marginalized because all these companies have come out and said, oh, lose weight with B12. Come over and get a $120 shot, and you can start losing weight. Yeah. So everybody thinks that B12 is this fad, and it's not. It's something that used to be fortified in the foods that we eat, but it's not anymore. It's something that people are missing from their daily lives, and it is something that can impact your depression levels, your energy levels, if you have migraines, you have more migraines than normal.
If you take out one of the O's in there, you have the good things that your body needs, and you take out one of the O's, you're missing something. You're missing God right there. That if you left everything organic the way it was meant to grow, and not putting all these insecticides and anti-drought chemicals in our foods that we eat, and went back to natural ways of producing it. Like, for example, my chickens, they don't live in a cage. They run the yard. Some of them get eaten by owls, hawks, dogs, neighbors. I don't know, but I'm just joking about that. But the eggs are so healthy. When you look at my eggs versus the eggs that you go to a grocery store and buy, the yolk, for example, is a complete different color. I don't give them anything with antibiotics in it or living organisms, and they live strictly off the land and the healthy things I give them. They're very healthy chickens, and I believe people in that sense, if we were eating better foods for us, although better foods do cost more money, they're harder to produce because you actually have to work. That's
why it's better just to grow your own.
It is.
I mean, but still, even growing your own, I mean, I wonder how long it's going to be before we get shut down on doing that. I mean, Buster, what is you've been being pretty quiet back here, so.
Yeah,
we're making him hungry.
How about that? Just enjoying myself in this wonderful conversation about eggs.
Yeah, we're talking about eggs.
Yeah,
way to go, Chris.
Why didn't you ask Buster to step in anywhere else? But as soon as we start talking about eggs, you're like, hey, Buster, you got something to say?
Yeah. He goes, yeah, I like my eggs over easy. Yeah. What's up? No, I mean, it kills me. It does. I mean, we should grow our own food, but we should also move on because I take it that was a hint. Like, we're talking about eggs. Come on, guys.
Well, I mean, it's like, I think every person has to look at themselves. It's like what Darian was saying. It's like, I can't really say that I've always taken the best, care of myself.
Right.
Because I'm so driven. I mean, if there's something that has to get done, I'm staying awake and I'm doing it. I mean, there's time to sleep when I'm dead. And there's been weeks that I barely sleep at all because there's too many things to do, things that need to get done, team members that I've got to help with or do whatever it is that I've got to do. I will sacrifice my own sleep and health and whatever else to take care of these situations. Now I try to take care of myself better. There are certain things that I do differently.
All right.
But at the same time, I can't just be that person that works 8 hours a day. I mean, whenever you run a company and you own something, it is your baby.
You're freaking right on that.
I tell people this all the time. If they're going to decide to go and start their own business, if you actually think that you're going to be able to do everything that you need to do between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., and then that's all you got to do, and then you just sign off and you go somewhere else, your business is going to fail 9 times out of 10.
Yes.
I mean,
see, that's why it's like with me. It's someone just asked me recently. They said, they go, being in business, it must be easy to be in business. You must have a lot of money. I'm looking at him going, yeah, okay, no. I don't have a lot of money. Believe me, it's a job just to do what we do. I mean, I agree. It's like you have to work, and in order to be successful, and you got it. It's like Dave and I have talked a lot about. It's hard nowadays to stay in business, and sometimes there might be something out there if you just kind of work together as a team and try to figure how you can make some more money. I mean, more heads involved, obviously, got a lot more ideas and directions, but at the same token, in this day and age, everything is so competitive.
It is a very hard thing for people to actually choose to do something as start a business. A lot of people look at it like, oh, it's going to be easy.
It's not easy.
They go to the casino. They assume that, well, I'm going to start on this slot machine, but I am guaranteed to win money before I leave. Because I'll just keep switching slot machines, and I'm going to win on something. I mean, that's the way most people think. And the reality is, you're going in there and you're dumping money, and it's the same thing with doing a business.
Right.
It is a risk. You are gambling, whatever you start.
I'm an entrepreneur myself. I've even been to school in marketing and entrepreneurship. I've worked in this for a while. I've did my own thing most of my whole life. But what I could tell you is a lot of people that get out there and they're trying something new. I mean, at least you're trying something new. So many people have $1 million ideas that don't even know where to go with it.
Wow.
And then when you go out there and you look at this, the people that are devoted to what they believe in, devoted to their dream.
Right.
I've had so many people my whole life tell me, give it up. You're not going to get out there and have your records and this and that. I've had 8 world top 10 hit songs on the indie charts, and my best hasn't even came yet. Right. But I don't quit. Right. I don't give up. I've had the same dream. I do this. But let's look at it in a different aspect, too. A successful business is somebody that doesn't know the word stop, to quit. You keep on going. You keep on doing your development, your research, whatever it is. But that also goes with their government, which is an entrepreneurship in its own self. The pharmaceutical companies. Do you not think that a doctor, his job might be to he gets a better rate on something for his patients if they were taking a larger... What I'm trying to say is I know a lot of people that might be over-medicated. Do you really have to have all these drugs in your body? Could you not eliminate a certain situation by natural remedy, by exercising, by eating healthier?
Right.
A lot of these things we cause upon our own self, I believe, because we just didn't know better. And I believe that the biggest solution to every answer that we have on our show tonight is education.
Okay.
If we were better educated in certain areas, in ways, I think it would be an overall improvement for everybody.
Oh, of course. And the thing about it is this is kind of unique because this kind of falls into the category. And I'm sure that Buster is going to chime in on this one. And education is important. And the thing about it is I've had the privilege to work with Buster Mathis, with the Buster Mathis Foundation. And the things that I have learned in this endeavor that I've been in for over a year now is that running a foundation is not as easy as people think it is. It is very, very difficult, and we're finding that out. But
what he is doing, what Buster has done, I think is phenomenal. And I think that if anybody can back it, I think they should. It's just what we're talking about, how hard it is to do a business of any kind.
Right.
Look at Buster as an example. I mean, he has a tremendous idea, and I think he has a lot to bring to the table and to really try to help people around him.
Right.
I mean, very well respected for that.
Right. He's run into so many problems, and it's just things that happen that people don't expect.
Right.
Yeah, but I always said that there's always a lesson learned. And one thing that I learned is that, yes, you make a lot of mistakes. Yes, you associate with the wrong people. And, yes, we shouldn't trust with people that we shouldn't trust. But one thing I really like about the business world and what I've learned is that it is a great opportunity to capitalize on your mistakes and really learn to share with the people in my own inner circle, because there is a lot of stuff that I have not learned. And all the time when I learn something new, I send it to my board members and say, hey guys, I learned this, I learned that, I learned that. So personally, I've written Warren Buffett book, and one quote that he said is that the greatest risk in any business is don't know what you're doing. You know?
Right.
And one thing that I learned is that everything I get up and learn on something new every day. I think that is about business when you get up, regardless if you're an entrepreneur or you've been in business for 10 to 15 years, you get up every day and learn something new.
Right, right. Well, the thing about it is you got a good point there. I mean, it does make sense, but what we're doing with the Buster Mats Foundation is being able to create something unique, and it's not as unique as you think. And Buster, he has been working real hard, and this plan that we have, and we're starting it out. We're getting a lot of attention, and it has to do with there's a lot of kids out there. We all know, we're college people here, and the thing about it is
I think I'm a little older than college people, but okay.
All right, whatever.
Hey, wait a minute.
Well, the thing
I'm
about
qualified.
well, you're understatement. Anyway, so
Yeah, Darian is definitely the youngest one here. I mean, like, what are you now, Darian? Like 20, 21?
She's working on her 4th bachelor's degree.
I'm
Yeah.
31 years old.
you're just a kid.
My oldest son just turned to a teenager, so.
But the thing,
yeah.
what I'm trying to get across here is everybody's unique, I guess. But Buster, with the foundation, you look at the colleges right now. Colleges are saturated. Like, especially what really gets me is the amount of people that are going to be graphic artists. It's it's saturated. Dave is one of the best artists I know, graphic artist, and I'm telling you.
Thank you. But
Well, just take it, okay, and quit freaking. Take it as a compliment. God. Anyway, so the thing about it is Dave, how hard is it to get into an advertising firm to be a graphic artist? It's almost nearly impossible. Because of why?
well, it's not that it's impossible. It's just it's hard. I mean, doing this industry is a complicated thing. I mean, running a company in this industry is even more complicated.
Right.
You've got to be willing to just deal with the ebbs and flows and just realize that sometimes it's going to be good, sometimes it's not. It's not going to be great. But just like Buster said, you got to get up every day and you got to be willing to fight.
That's right. That's right.
And that is something that Buster knows much better than all of us. After sitting in the ring all those times, you can't back down, and you can't just give up. You can't just fall to the floor willingly. I mean, you've got to give it your all. And find
Notice that's the common thread in everything we've talked about tonight, is that you just can't sit back idly and let everyone else do everything for you. You have to get up every day. It's just like you were talking about recycling. It's not going to make a difference unless a lot of people do it.
Right.
Well, you have to choose if you're going to sit there and buy a 44-ounce glass of soda out of a drive-through window and have your food shoveled out to you, or if you're, going to make a healthier decision. You make those choices. And our society has become so lazy by so many things.
Yeah, but the thing about, it all goes back to what we're taught in school. And in these schools, they're always taught, you got to go to college, you got to go to college, you got to go to college. And to be honest with you, we found out that not everybody wants to go to college. No, they want to start making money immediately, and this is where Buster and Buster can tell you exactly how it works. And
one thing I'd like to interject, Robert, is that doing my research and working closely, hopefully, with the Department of Labor, the Department of Labor don't want no more college-educated people. They want the skilled trades. And when I was sitting there doing my research, and go to DOL.gov, you see the opportunities for skilled trades and what they are looking for. And I see that that's not a lot addressed in the high schools. It's not addressed. They don't promote the plumber. They don't promote the carpenter. They don't promote the chef. They don't promote the machinist. What they promote is Grand Valley State University or Michigan State or University of Michigan.
Yeah, but they always seem to say, oh yeah, you want to be a graphic artist? Oh yeah, you'll make a lot of money doing it, and but there's other positions. So like Buster's saying right now, what are our kids doing right now? And they can get the same.
Go back to 1996.
Okay.
Let's go back to 1996, and I'm just going to give you an example. I was a disc jockey. I was on the air working 7 to midnight, and at the time we had become the #1 station in town. I had decent ratings on my show. I was making $18,000 a year. So if people think that you're going to go get some big-time job in radio and all of a sudden you're going to be the next Howard Stern and you're going to do all this great stuff, that is not likely. And, I mean, I was in Denver, Colorado, and I was one of the talents for one of Jones Radio's satellite networks. And this satellite network was broadcasted to 65 different stations constantly. Sometimes it would fluctuate up or down or whatever. But I was one of those jocks. And I got paid $14 an hour. And I had to go in and voice track a bunch of different things. I could normally voice track the entire week in a matter of a few hours. So I'm making $14 an hour times about maybe 5 hours. That was my weekly revenue off of doing that, because I was a Mr. Big satellite DJ. So for all those people thinking that, oh, it's all great on the other side of it, not always true.
A lot of hard work.
Well, and I mean, you guys, you're talking about how society has said you have to go to college. Okay. Yes, I have several degrees, but I've not used them I have a business degree that I got after, I was already involved in a family business and already co-owned part of it. But, most of the money that I've made in my life has nothing to do with my degree. My family was in a publishing business. We realized, okay, because of the internet, we're going to be broke. And so we said, we're going to have to do something on the internet. Well, we didn't have the money to hire a graphic artist. So my brother and I read some books and started learning, how to program. A couple years later, we had software that was born. And that software is the only thing that's kept our business alive.
But some people in the same business have something instead of the software. Look at Hugh Hefner. He had what would you call put a bump.
A what?
He had hardware. Hugh Hefner. Never mind.
Yeah, all I heard was he had hard, and then you just kind of dropped off. So I'm like,
oh, is that what it is?
So we're all sitting.
Some entrepreneurs don't have software that they've made. They actually made hardware. I was trying to make something funny that I thought would be, but nobody got it. So never mind.
Well, Ron Jeremy has hardware too, but we're obviously not talking about that. So.
He's actually a Facebook friend of mine.
And he's not lying.
Yeah. He's got
Talk about the poke button. I hide that one there.
Yeah. I would hide that too. That's just like your your deal with. Oh no, I can't say that on the show.
Hey, but it's amazing who you can find on Facebook.
Oh my God.
I was on there. I found Lorena Bobbitt. I found John Bobbitt.
Oh my God.
But the thing about it is here's the deal. Now, you have an option. You have to sign up. You have to go through a whole freaking deal. But it takes about 3 to 4 months. But you can be verified on Facebook now. So if you see a verification on your thing, that means that person is who they are. They have to be verified, to be able to do it. And that's something new.
Well, you're trying to tell me all those women and guys out there, that's not their real photo?
That's probably not. I wouldn't doubt if you're talking to some of them transvestites you like so well.
I could have sworn that was Julia Roberts.
Yeah, I'll never
was
forget
a dude
that.
in Russia.
I gotta find that show because that was the best damn show ever. It's like the way that you were talking. It's like we're sitting. I go, so what do you think about that one? He's like, oh yeah. He goes, oh, she's really hot, and I'm like, yeah. It's like and I go, dude, you need to look up at the thing that said transvestite, and he just went.
Buster, he's had it out to railroad me because I could always railroad him, but I'm one-track minded. I focus on the show, and I don't focus on anything but the show. And he's sitting there bombing me with all these photos of beautiful, most were women.
Uh-huh.
Well,
I'm trying to be not distracted on that either.
I really like the show. First of all, we talk about eggs. Now we talk about transvestites.
Well-rounded.
I guess, okay. I guess that means we need to make another change.
Well, no, guys, I got to get ready to go.
All right.
Great talking with you. And when are we going to do this again?
Oh, you want to do it again, huh?
Love doing it again.
Well, we do actually. There's a topic I know you want to talk about big time.
What is the topic? What is the topic? Because I might want to talk about it now.
Well, okay. Think of something. It's up to you, man. Think of something that you want to talk about. That's hot on your.
I want to talk about eggs.
Eggs.
It's hard to imagine where the topic of eggs would end up at.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
I'm getting off of here if that's the conversation we're having. As the only one who produces eggs, I'm out of here.
So.
But when are we gonna do it again? So I can get back on here. I just
maybe we should have you on our New Year's Eve party we're having.
Oh, okay.
And then you can talk about whatever you want on there.
But you have to bring a drink. You have to bring some kind of drink. I don't care if it's
I
beer
think I'll
or
have
something or a glass of wine.
Hey, Buster, you can just come right here to the studio with me, and we'll do it. We'll do it right here. I'll make sure you get frickin' tanked that night.
Okay.
He's like, okay, twist my arm.
He goes, okay, no problem. He won't be leaving that night. Yeah.
Why don't you guys all make plans and come down to Tampa for New Year's?
Oh,
we go hang out on the beach.
Yes.
We can do the show live from the beach.
Wait, will HTR pay for me to get there, Rob?
Not you.
Well, she could drive me.
No, you don't get paid either.
You make it to Charleston, she'll drive us.
Yeah. She'll drive us.
On the way.
It's not that far either, really, to be honest with you. And wouldn't that just blow his... I know his address, too. That's the good part, because we just need to show up unannounced. And you need to be... we need to have texts there.
Wait, you need to do what?
We need to have texts come with us.
Oh, my God.
I agree.
Wait, you're not talking about me, are you?
Yeah, we're going to come visit you now.
No, you're not. No.
Let's see.
I'm not part of your sex thing.
Sex.
Hey, I got a good topic that we could talk about.
Okay, what is it, Buster?
The topic is Bigfoot gay? Because,
Chris, I bet you Chris can answer that.
I'm looking for Bigfoot, and only men see Bigfoot. I cannot find a woman seeing Bigfoot. Only men.
Oh, God, here we go.
I keep asking Chris to show me one. I've yet to see one.
Yeah.
Only men, so maybe just only, is Bigfoot gay?
Chris, why don't you educate us?
And Darian, you got to go out during the daytime looking for Bigfoot and stop hiding behind the trees.
Hey, guys, I gotta go.
All right.
Okay?
All right. See you, Buster.
All right.
Night, Buster.
Thanks a lot for coming on the show. There you go, Buster Matthews Jr. here with us, and that was interesting. He had a lot of interesting comments.
I had to ask him, did Mike Tyson ever nibble on his ear?
That was a good one. But I mean, so no, I mean, you're everybody.
Well, I mean, you kind of got to ask that whenever you mention Mike Tyson in a ring. You got to wonder if he's like nibbling on anything.
Yeah.
So.
Buster, you know, you guys, if you've ever spent a whole day with that man, I have, and I'll tell you, he wears me out. He does. He's got a lot of things that's on his mind, and the good thing is it's all really good stuff too. I mean, he's definitely on the road to, you know, really doing something.
Well, yeah, any man or woman alive that is willing to help children.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
My hats go off to you, and I'm right there. I mean, I'm on your side immediately.
I mean, there's a lot of things. It's just like we were actually talking earlier. We were on the Obama deal, and I don't want to kind of go back, but there was something that wasn't really unfinished. A lot of people I've been listening to the airwaves here. I've been kind of like following people for like 2 weeks now, getting their take on this thing, and everybody seems what.
I'll be right back. I'm putting you on hold.
Oh, great!
Be right back.
Putting a radio show on hold. Anyway, you know, think about it. Okay, you really go into this scenario of how it's going to really affect us as a country, and the one thing how it's going to affect us the most is everybody thinks that the poor is going to be the most effective. Really, it's not. It's going to be both sides because the rich are going to have to pay higher.
The poor won't be able to save their lives, more than likely, if they needed the surgery that it did not cover, and they could not find a way to cover that.
You need the bronze package instead of the gold package, right? I got you. But the thing about it is how is that going to affect us? Well, I think when this hits, I think our country is going to go into a whirlwind. It's going to go out of control. I think we're going to hit the ground, and there's nothing that's going to be done. There's nothing that can be done. Huh?
Back now.
All right, cool.
If your family barely getting by, and you're in that criteria where you have to pay to have the insurance, you might find yourself, you know, being more conserving, maybe having less cell phones.
You're right. I was actually talking to service rep there at AT&T, where I get my phone service through. I got paid for that. Anyway, the thing about it is what really got when I was talking to him. I said, I wonder how this is really going to affect the cell phone business. And he goes, that's a interesting observation. He goes, yeah, I mean, because people are going to have to pay for health care, or they're going to pay for their phones. They can't have both, right?
Right.
Anybody got any comment on that?
No, I believe it.
No, I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
Dave?
Well,
come on, spit it out, damn you.
just yesterday, it was a couple of years ago, but obviously it was yesterday for a lot of us because we're still being impacted by it, and that's the thing called the economic downfall. Everything that has happened. The economy is not exactly back to where it was, and it's not exactly as healthy as it should be. But right smack in the middle of this, we've got this Obamacare thing. And believe me, if people don't have insurance, I think it's fantastic that they can get insurance. And some people are complaining about the insurance rates that really aren't that bad. There are some people that are really affected by the situation. I do not unilaterally agree with what's happened with Obamacare, but I just think the timing of it is odd. They didn't do their due diligence and do everything and all of their investigations into what Obamacare is before they shoved it down everybody's throats. And they are experiencing a lot of those problems now with the actual website and people not being able to sign up to it. And we've already got a situation where there's a lot of people that are still unemployed, trying to find jobs, trying to figure out what to do. We've got different companies that are reducing their employees to part-time status so they don't have to pay these extra costs that are coming in through Obamacare.
Right.
A lot of people are freaking out. We're not even going to really figure out what the actual total damage of this is for probably 3 to 5 years to figure out where people are after the fact.
Do you think?
Because
do you think
hindsight
we
is
got
2020 at that point?
Do you think? Do you really think? Now, do you think we have that long?
No. I think.
No, I don't think we do.
I think it's ridiculous for a country that is saying how broke they are, the government, saying how broke they are and how they have to make this cut, they have to cut out that. And, I mean, we're talking, they're cutting things that are needed by the nation. And now they've spent $200 million or $200 billion launching this.
Right.
It's, you're making the problem worse by having a crappy solution. Perfect example, and this is, the same thing I said to you the other night, Rob. Dave, how many
of your customers, since you produce websites, if the website doesn't work, still pay you?
Nobody.
Right.
Nobody. But
exactly.
a website that still doesn't work, but it's still a requirement, and they say it doesn't matter if they don't get it, up and running, until a day before. You're telling me that website is going to be able to hold the entire nation trying to register in a 24-hour period? No, it's not going to work then either. So how is it, that something that none of the rest of us could ever get by with, not only are they getting by with, but they have made law. It's just like the IRS. I hate the IRS. It's the biggest scam there ever was.
I think everybody hates the IRS.
Well, but here's the thing. The IRS was started during the war, and it was supposed to be ended right after the war, and the government realized how much they were making. So they, they just didn't get rid of the law like they said they were going to. They got something grandfathered in and voted in by saying, well, it'll be gone when the war's over. And then they changed the law and just left it in effect.
Right. It's the same thing like with what happened with, and I hate to bring it back up, like gas prices. They do something like the war is happening. They say, look, we're sorry. Everybody's going to have to start paying this extra money for the war. People all gather together and they're like, hell yeah, we've got to go fight these guys. We'll put in the extra money no matter how hard it is. And then a year or two later, once the war is over, people have kind of become used to spending that money so that it's kind of like built into the society. So the government's like, wait a second, we can continue making money. Let's just continue doing this. We're going to continue IRS forever. And that's kind of like what happened. It became so accepted.
It's a collection agency for the government. That's all it is. It's a collection agency.
That bait and switch tactic is what the government does constantly. That's what they do with gas prices. That's what they do with the electricity rates and all the rest of it. The housing market, all of it is bait and switch. Everything. They make you think it's one thing, then they come around the backside and they say something else. It's just like this website. It seems like there are more articles about the problems with the website. There are more problems with what's going on with the website. Oh my God, they've just dumped billions of dollars into this website. Everybody's talking about the website. The website is just one part of this entire thing.
And
these articles are talking less about the actual impact of Obamacare, what its benefits are, or what its negatives are. They're spending more time talking about this website that doesn't work. Is that done on purpose? Or is it something else? Is it just because there's a whole bunch of people working on this thing that really shouldn't even be working on this thing? They certainly do not seem capable enough to be able to accept making as much money as they have made.
And on top of that, don't forget what they're doing to the businesses too. The businesses that if you work for a company, they have to pay for your healthcare package. The business that you work for.
I just think this is going to get more ugly before it's over.
Oh God, yes. I mean, I know. I've got a real close friend of mine who, he owns a business himself, and he was talking to me, and he goes, I'm going to be out of business, and I said, well, what are you talking about? I go, you're doing real good. He goes, He goes, you want to really believe that? He goes, look what I have to pay for my employees to work for me. And he goes, I go, well, why? And I go, don't they buy their own? He goes, no, when they work for you, you have to buy their health insurance. I don't know how they're going to keep track of all this. You know, and we got a comment from a listener. It says the problem is that sick people will sign up and healthy people won't. That will cause Obamacare to melt down. I mean,
well, that's what I say whenever I say that there is a choice. The problem is the choice is just like the problem with recycling. The choice is all of us, and I'm talking 70, 80% of America all of a sudden says no. That is the only choice that exists. And unless people can unify together and become one voice and say something that has enough power behind it, because if you have that much of the country leaning to one side, it's going to be really hard for them to continue on with something. But
it would prove we are the government.
Kind of,
yeah, but see, that would be great. That would be great. That's exactly what I like to hear right now. Is because
we are the government.
Yeah, but see, the thing about it is here's what we do, people. You want to fight it? Don't sign up.
Well, the problem is people are just jumping right off this ledge without even looking to see what's below.
Right.
I mean, they just assume, oh, well, the government told me that there is, a big blow-up pillow down there, so I'm just going to dive off the side here and I'm going to be fine. Or they told me that there's a 12-foot ocean below me, so I'm going to land in water. I'll be fine. But we're so high up, people don't even see what's down there, so they just take faith and they just jump off the side. I'm a little bit more diligent with, I'm not going to just go jump off the side of a cliff. I'm sorry. If you're telling me that I got to take something and I got to start eating it, the answer's no. Give me the chance to make a choice.
Oh, you don't have a choice.
I'm not that person that just somebody comes up to me in a bar, hey, drink this. It's like, no, thank you. I want to get my own drinks. But if you're going to come over and bring me this drink that is laced with God knows what, I'm not going to drink that.
Right.
But there are people out there that will do that. They will jump off the side of that cliff, and that's exactly what's going on now with the people that are just instantly accepting Obamacare.
I'm thinking a mass majority. I'm going to say this. I say it's a mass majority of the people will not sign up. I think the people that we're hearing about who are signing up right now, I believe that there's not that many people who are signing up yet. I believe that the mass majority, if you like you say, maybe 85 or 80% of the people wouldn't sign up, the government just got their answer. We're not going to put up with it. Go pack sand up your ass or something like that. It doesn't matter. It's just, I'm telling you, this is going to affect not only people with low income. This is going to affect people with businesses, and it's going to affect people with businesses really hard.
But they're going to try to bribe you. If you sign up now, we'll give you a free Obama phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, yeah. But I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that scares me. I mean, I worked, and I'm sure David and everybody here can justify. We worked hard to build our businesses. I'm tired. I'm tired of struggling, and I'm sure that everybody else can pretty much, say the same thing. It's not supposed to be like this. And I asked a question one time, and this is the question because this is what gets Buster riled up. And boy, when he gets riled up, you gotta tone down on the mic. The thing about it is here it comes. Okay, should we be called the United States of America?
Should we do what?
Should we be called the United States of America?
A lot of people lost their unitedness. A lot of people have. I hate saying that. I really do.
I mean, do you feel that we're united, Dave?
No.
When 14% of your people vote, that's not united.
No.
That's what I was talking about earlier with just the division that this Obamacare has done just between Republicans and Democrats. Mm-hmm. They're more concerned on which side of the fence they're on rather than talking about the actual problem. It doesn't matter if any of us voted for Obama. It doesn't matter who we voted for. The problem is right smack in front of all of us, and it's currently called Obamacare. And how is it going to affect all of us? At the end of the day, do you really honestly believe that somebody that's against Obamacare now, that person may have voted for Obama, but maybe they didn't vote for that? And it happened. It happened. The first thing Obama said whenever he took office, and I'm not saying that I'm against Obama. I'm saying one of the first things he said whenever he came into office is he was talking about all this healthcare stuff. But he also said that he was going to pull everybody out of Iraq. How many years are we beyond that first day in office? And let me ask you, is everybody out of Iraq? Is everybody back home with their families now? No. No. Bait and switch. Everything is bait and switch. And if you think that Obama's the only president in the history to do something like that, you're crazy. And if Republicans can sit over there and say the same kind of thing about, oh, well, Bush never did that, wake up. Look at the actual books. It was the exact same thing, just about different things. Everybody's asking about the conspiracy of 9/11. America is the one who gave those guys weapons and trained them how to use them.
Yeah, the CIA.
So, yeah, so maybe it is kind of a conspiracy because we gave them the means to do to us what they did. And that's on us. And the worst thing about it is that, yeah, we all live in this country, and a lot of us beat our chests because we're an American. A lot of us hang those American flags, and I believe in that. I am an American, and I'm proud of that. But at the same time, there are days that I'm ready to leave this country because I don't think it stands for what it did and what it needs to. There is no more unitedness. I can't say that, if I run into a problem, my neighbor's going to help me. But you know what? If my neighbor's outside working on a car, I'm going to go walk over and try to help him. I don't need to know the person.
But if we drop some of these problems that we have today in our society back on us back in the 40s and 50s, gloves are coming off.
Right.
The American people would not have put up with this back in the 40s and 50s. And you go talking bad about your country back in the 40s or 50s,
oh man,
gloves are coming off.
Yeah, see, that's not like that anymore. And that's why I always said, and I've said this in a lot of our shows, I said, I look back, I love history, and it sounds like everybody here loves history. And one of our...
Because you're old.
You shut your frickin' pie hole, woman. Anyway, listen.
Hey, why don't you go watch some more cartoons?
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Oh, good one. But I look back to when I'm reading how in December, close. It's been a while. Pearl Harbor just had an anniversary. We just had one of Pearl Harbor, and December 7th, 1941. Right after that, it was amazing to see the political stuff that's actually going on, even when the Japanese, before they bombed, you go back and you just follow this timeline, and all of a sudden, the Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor, and our country, it's just like, holy hell, we just came together and we got the job done, and no one complained. I mean, there were people that complained. I'm sure of it. But we were in war all the way.
We're talking about a different time.
You're right. But nowadays, we look at what we're doing today. If that same thing happened, would we be united? No. People thought we got united on 9/11. I disagree. A very few portion of this country was united.
Well, we were more united than normal.
Yeah.
The problem is that just take what happened in Katrina, or New Orleans with Katrina as an example. It's major news for 3-4 days, maybe a week, and as soon as the media gets bored, they change the subject.
Right.
And they start talking about something else. There could still be people dying, but they're talking about something else.
Yeah, but we're more selfish too. And don't say we're not, because think about it this way: back when we had a shortage of frickin' metals and stuff, kids were turning in their toys to be melted down for bullets and stuff like that. What kid do you think right now would give up their frickin' PlayStation or their frickin' Xbox or any of their gadgets to help win a war?
Very few. Again, we're talking about a different time. It was a different mindset.
So to say that we are the United States of America, it's like, I want that united back. I want that country back that used to be united. But until
even with what I was saying, I'm not saying that I'm some liberal or conservative that's talking about, oh, well, I would just leave the country. I mean, if I wanted to do that, I would have already done that. I mean,
but where are you going to go? It's like this all over the world.
I love this country. I love what this country is supposed to stand for.
Right.
But my problem is that I love the country because of the Constitution. I believe in the Constitution. But the Constitution is not upheld anymore. It's just a piece of paper that just happens to be old and tattered, and it's hanging up in a museum somewhere.
Amen.
It doesn't really hold the same relevance as it did. At least
that's just like saying the Bible doesn't. That'd be like the same people believing the Bible doesn't mean the same. You know, I mean, it's like saying our elders were dumb. It didn't make sense.
Well, I mean, it's things like what has been allowed to change because of. It's like you mentioned the Bible. Think about the Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, I was a person that was against them taking it out of school. Not because I'm a big religious person, because I'm not an overly religious person. But the idea is if you do that, you open the doorway for all kinds of other things to change. As soon as you back down, that's whenever they're going to come in and just own you.
Exactly.
That's just like right.
Dominoes.
Bend over to pick up the soap. That's when you're exposed. And that's exactly what happened whenever they allowed schools to say, oh, you can no longer say the Pledge of Allegiance. Why? That is the right of this country. That is everything that this country signifies. It doesn't matter if you're religious or not. And I mean, I appreciate and understand the concerns, but if you don't like your child saying the Pledge of Allegiance at school, homeschool your child.
Right. Well, what do you think? What do you think about now, where they want to now? They want you not to say Merry Christmas anymore, but Happy Holidays.
Oh no, I know that's the same thing, same damn thing. Because you can't say Merry Christmas, and
I say Merry Christmas. If they don't like it, they can kiss my ass.
Yeah, but they could sue you.
Well, then they're going to sue me because I'm going to say Merry Christmas. Sue me. Merry Christmas.
Hey, Robert, why don't you go ahead and give your address and tell them to go ahead and send some lawsuits our way, because I think, we're just going to sit here and say Merry Christmas the rest of the show.
Merry Christmas? Yeah, I get that, But that means, when I was reading about that, where it's just like these people coming, to our country and they don't like our cross, and they sue a city to take down a cross that's been there for hundreds of years. I mean, this is just way, way ridiculous, and we're letting this all happen.
This is where we're talking about the mentality has changed. Now it's about being politically correct.
Right.
It's less about being a good person. It's less about being moral. It's less about having any kind of, care about who you are as a person, and more about what is politically correct. Because, I think it's unconstitutional to make my child say the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm offended when somebody tells me Merry Christmas. I'm like, what is left that can be changed?
Everything.
A lot of things.
Well, it does say in the Bible that during the ends of times that less and less people will believe in God. Now, and then there will become a time when Christians will be also persecuted and be locked up and put in prisons because they're going to abolish Christianity altogether. Now,
nations will be fighting nations.
How close are we right now to that happening right now?
Well, also in Revelations, it says that the end of the world will be started in Babylon. Now, do you know where geographically Babylon was? What city sits on where Babylon was?
Iraq.
Baghdad. Chris, you weren't supposed to answer. I just told you that like 2 days ago.
Yeah. Well, now he knows something. Now he knows something.
I want to sound smart. Christmas.
So, so yeah.
No, I mean,
well,
it's like I'm sitting in that position where I'm not an overly religious person. There are reasons why I'm not an overly religious person. Robert, you know some of my background.
hell yeah.
You know, it's just there are things that I believe in, and yes, I believe that there's things out there, but I'm not going to be force-fed the Bible and religion like I'm not going to be force-fed Obamacare. I have a choice to believe or not. And I'm not saying that I don't believe. I do believe that something's out there. But if somebody's going to come around me beating the Bible, you know, I'm going to be like, well, you know, maybe are you trying to get money out of my pocket instead of trying to make me become a better person? I mean, I believe in being a good person and trying to help the people around you. And I believe that that is what that Bible is supposed to tell you to be. I mean, you don't have to be hell on wheels. You don't have to be evil. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be cruel to the people around you and say things that just aren't proper. I mean, you can still be a stand-up person and be good and have ethics and have morals and, you know, care about the people around you. That is what I think has gotten lost in everything, because now it's all about...
A lot of people that even go to churches, you know, they'll sit there and they'll talk about other people. You can't do that. Be a good Christian.
Oh yeah,
Right.
but they
So
still
it's
do
like-
it.
Because for them, it's about they are Christian every Sunday morning. But Sunday afternoon and Monday, they're back to being normal. And I'm not saying that's everybody. I'm not saying that's everybody at all. I mean, I'm just saying that a lot of those people are like that. They think, oh, well, I'm going to go to hell if I don't go to church on Sunday. You know, but what about Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, Friday? You know, there's 600 days of the week. You know, like, you can't just be religious for 2 or 3 hours on Sunday morning and that's going to guarantee you a place inside the pearly gates. You know, it is something that you live, you breathe, you know, that runs through your veins. You either believe it or you don't. And going to church or not doesn't really dictate whether or not you believe. Sorry, at least in my mind. I know we talked about 9/11, we've talked about religion, we talked about all these things that you're not supposed to talk about.
And eggs. And eggs.
And eggs. And eggs.
Don't forget the eggs.
Oh, and eggs.
I think Buster was cooking eggs while we were talking about them.
But
Don't forget the transvestites. We talked about those.
Oh, yeah, we mentioned the transvestites, too.
Is there anything we have? And Santa Claus is a spy for the government.
Oh, crap. You know what? I mentioned the KKK once. So, I mean, we've kind of got the entire... We've got the entire thing. We've got hate mail coming from all
So
directions.
who's getting the most hate mail for Christmas?
Probably me.
Enjoy, Rob.
what?
I said GHTR will. Enjoy, Rob.
Yeah. I'm waiting for that
So
to
if
happen.
if anybody is listening right now, don't blame us. It's all Robert's fault.
Yeah,
It's
there you
Listen,
go.
this is the season for giving, guys. This
Yeah.
is the season for giving. This is Christmas.
Yeah.
That's right. Merry Christmas.
Since it's Merry Christmas time.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Rob,
Yeah.
you could have my hate mail.
No.
You can rent mine.
It's like I get enough crap already. Believe me,
If I get any, I'm going to wrap it up all nice in some Christmas paper and give it to you, Rob.
We love
that
you,
will be
Rob.
your Christmas gift.
Yeah, well, you know, but we're. I mean, seriously, we are nearing the end of the show here. But you know, the thing that gets me the most right now with everything that's actually been going on is, you know, Dave hit on something that actually was kind of cool, and I want to kind of bring it up because it's like he said. He goes, you know, it's really, we have choices, and we do have choice. I don't want to get the wrong impression that we're doomed, which I think we are doomed. I think this country is in for a rude awakening. But at the same time, at the same token, you know, we control it. We can say no to the government, and the way we can say no to the government is tell them to go pack sand up their ass about this Obamacare. Don't sign up. Like Dave said, if 80% of the people don't sign up, there's your answer to the government. We're not going to take it. We're not going to do it. What are they going to do? Take $90 from, you know, every freaking 80% of all Americans? They'd probably do that.
But at the same time, I mean, I believe that, and I believe that something like that could actually turn the tide. The problem is, I mean, being realistic, there are people out there who cannot do without. There are people that are in dire need of medical attention constantly.
Right.
You know, those people, they're going to have to get it. I mean, and the government knows that. I mean, they're dangling something in front of everybody's faces that is.
Yeah, you're looking at
that
mass
is
extinction if they don't. Mass extinction.
Healthcare is an absolute bona fide need of a lot of people. It's not some whimsical thing that they can go off and throw all kinds of money at, like their new Apple iPhone or whatever that they stand in line in for 3 hours.
Right.
Healthcare is a need, you know, and that's not something to play around with, because now if something goes wrong, people die. And that's what bothers me the most about this.
Right, right.
Is that people's lives are on the line with this thing. And I mean those people that are fighting some kind of possible terminal disease. You know, and there's people on these I mean, if you go through some of these articles and you just read some of the comments, some of these people are just so belligerently stupid, it's ridiculous, that they're saying such rude things, talking about people that have terminal cancer and they can't get Obamacare. They're like, oh, well, who'd you vote for? You know, that is their response. They're like, oh, well, you know, if you voted for Obama, well, then fine. You deserve to die. You know, and I'm like, in what reality did it become so okay to be that rude and just callous? It's uncalled for. It doesn't matter who we voted for. It doesn't matter what our religious beliefs are. It doesn't matter what, you know, party we represent, either Democrat or Republican. At the end of the day, we are all living, breathing human beings with blood running through our veins, and all of us have a lot of the same problems as the guy next to us. And if we can't collectively get together and realize that and understand and be able to get into a room and talk about these things and discuss them and bring them out to the light to where people can start dealing with them, of course people are going to die in the middle of all of this. If we can't make up our minds, and if the government's going to keep sitting here trying to jam it down everybody's throats, and people aren't going to sign up for Obamacare, and they're going to wind up in a hospital bed dead, and their family's going to be hovering around them crying their eyes out, at what point, what point does society finally say, okay, enough, I give? You know, or it forces the government back. It is a power play, is all it is. And at this point, nobody's going to win. And that's the thing that really sucks.
The silence. No, the silence is what kills you. It's like we're all like, "Wow,
I'm on the same planet thinking."
Yeah, I mean, we're at this point where we're already looking at the pearly gates, and we just don't know it yet. So, but I want to thank everybody for coming on the show tonight. Dave, again, you're always welcome. Your input and your knowledge and your wisdom are forever grateful.
Wait, what?
I'm just throwing that in there. But anyway, so Chris and Darian both, I want to thank you guys for coming.
Nice to meet you, Darian.
Nice to meet you too, Dave.
Yeah, now we all got to get busy making the big bucks. So anyway, but anybody have any last parting words, real quick?
Yeah, if you need to get your emergency kit, the survival tequila kit, just contact me through email at chris@chrisallen.com. We'll package you up one.
Yeah, for $99.99, right?
Exactly. It comes with your insurance. I'm sending it with insurance.
Only if you have subsidies. If you don't have subsidies, it's $999.
There you go.
I'm sending it with an free insurance package for her pleasure.
Oh, good God. Dave, you got anything you want to add before we head out of here?
I like cheese.
You like cheese. Darian, you got any last parting words?
Yes, I do have one thing to add. It was a comment I had on something that was said earlier.
Oh, here we go.
Dave was talking about in 1996 and where he was and all that. I just want to point out the fact that was my freshman year of high school.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Graduated in this millennium.
Wait, how old are you, Darian?
31. I graduated in the year 2000.
31.
Yeah,
Wow.
she went to school just after the last dinosaur was shot.
Oh, yeah. So you missed out on all the party.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did.
Well, I mean, believe me, I already feel old enough as it is. I think
Okay.
I think Chris and Rob are both older than me, though, so
Now,
I don't feel as bad as them.
Dave,
Age
how
is in the mind. Age is in the mind. I'm almost 30.
Yeah,
I'm lying to myself.
Yeah.
I'm almost 30.
I won't lie. I'm 40 years old. I just
Well,
turned 40.
I tell you what, I won't lie. I'm 49. I won't
Yeah.
lie. I won't lie.
I won't lie.
Well.
I'm 28.
Yeah. All of a sudden you see a big lightning bolt. Takes them off.
It is the end of the world. Wow.
All right, well.
It's the end of the world, as I told a lie.
All right, man. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming, and hey, we'll do this again real soon. I think the next topic, Chris has something for our next topic, our next show. What was it, Chris?
It's about scams.
Yeah. That'll prove that scams. I'm sure Dave would like to ring in on that one too. How does anybody spend $2,700 to someone in frickin' Russia? You know, that's going to be our next topic, of course. And
Well, it's not just.
Oh, we're gonna talk openly about that.
oh yeah, yeah. I know a few people and that got who paid like big money for these
She
scams.
said
and
she loved me, and I had the receipt saying that.
and she loved
And
you.
how'd that work out for you?
Love sucks.
Start to asking for more money.
And he was gonna do it too, even after he just got.
I remember the phone call because you called to tell me about it.
Oh yes, I told everybody. You gotta.
Her family said they loved me that time.
Yeah, they did. They loved you, all right. You know how much the money that you gave them probably will frickin' take care of their family for like what 4 or 5 months. So I'm sure
No
that
wonder they
they're
love me.
very thankful for what you did. And the good part about it is you didn't even get to sniff anything.
Wow.
All right, well, we'll have that on our next one. Well, okay, see you, everybody, and have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah, good night. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.